Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I wholeheartedly offer whatever suits your time zone. It's another Blue Morning Show, and I hope you all doing well. Today, we're going to talk about the chances of Todd Boehly and his group, the advantages that he may have, and the disadvantages that they may have. But we will be objective about it, and we will start up the show by giving you some updates on the sale process so far. So let's get into it. Yes, people, welcome back to the Blue Morning Show, and I am happy to say Blue Morning to you all, especially to Sasuke Uchiha, who's already in the chart, Mikael, who's also already in the chart, Tobago, and Pierre, who's already in the chart, to everybody else, DJ Soft 17, a Blue Morning to you, brother. I hope you all are doing well, and I'm happy to say that I have staff in on the panel with me, and I will share the link in a bit so that whoever wants to join us can do so. Stava, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm fine, thanks. Hello to everybody in the chat. DJ Sav, Kyle, Pierre, Kakeri, and everybody else.
Awesome. And I want to say also Blue Morning to my brother, CFC. For him, it looks like Tobago is saying he's in South Africa. I'm not sure if that's what he's saying. If that it is sent to you, it is called the Blue Morning Show. So that's why I'm saying a Blue Morning. So, Stav, a question for you. Do you have any updates for us?
I've seen one come up on the screen from, is it Sasuka?
The first ever comment there? This one
here?
Yeah.
Start with that.
Okay, go ahead. It reads, Chelsea takeover indirectly. UK government and the Premier League have their say who would take over Chelsea and co in the shortlist. That issue now. Abramovich put under pressure to sanction where? Go ahead.
Obviously, the Premier League have a say because they've got to do the checks. So that's
the event.
So they're obviously going to have a say, and it has to be acceptable to the government as well, because they don't want somebody who may be connected to Roman or such like taking over. So that's always been the case anyway. Doesn't mean they have the final say. They're going to have some involvement. So that's that. Boehly, I'm hearing, are on the short list, or likely to be. Nick Candy, I've seen that there's a possible problem with theirs. So that's not necessary. You see, there's too many different sources, and they're all coming up with their own thing, basically. So there's nothing we can really take as gospel or given, because there's certain things. There was a report from one of the Korean backers of Candy, which is now disappeared. It was basically hinting that he'd been rejected, that he wasn't one of the on the final list. Sky Sports had just said that Marina, Bruce Buck, and Eugene Tenenbaum, who are all on the board, will have talks with Rain to discuss the shortlist, and we'll have an input and say in it. And let's be honest, it's highly unlikely they're going to have a say without contacting Roman. So ultimately, Roman will have a say in what's going to happen, because they're not going to just do it themselves and not discuss it with Roman. Let's live in the real world here.
Okay, DJ Sir, welcome to the panel.
Yeah.
And before I let you give us any update you have, I'd like to answer this question from Tobago, who says, "Coachila, are you from You're from America, right?" Yeah, I'm from America, but my birth country is Nigeria. So yeah, and nice to know that you're South African. That's good to know. DJ, welcome to the panel, brother.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning to you. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad
Brilliant.
at all. Not bad. Just interesting to see what's going to happen. Look, I mean, the only take I've got on things at the moment is I understand that the Ricketts family apparently were at had a meeting with the Chelsea trustees, I do believe, and apparently from watching on Sky, it looks like they've got all three tick boxes. Literally saying that the meeting went well, and that's all they've left it at that. Now, I think everybody, on this, I've said it on other streams, everybody knows how I feel about the Ricketts. I don't really want them at Chelsea.
Not just you.
No, I know it's not just me, but there's a lot of other. I know. I'm just saying, I don't want them at Chelsea. I just think for all the stuff that Chelsea have been trying to do over the years, of morals, of all sorts of things, and then bringing these guys into the front, bringing these guys into it all, is just going to ruin everything and tarnish the club for everything Roman and Ken Bates done previously to cut all this rubbish out. And by bringing these guys in, it's just going to cause a complete circus, if you like, at Stamford Bridge. I know there are going to be some fans out there that have already said, and was a bit shocked about, saying they'll no longer be Chelsea fans, which I find, as for me, look, that will never be me. I love my club to bits. So whoever comes in, obviously, we've got to go by it, whatever decision is going to be made on it. I would never walk away from my football club in that way. But obviously, I would be gutted from a moral perspective point of view if my club were to go down that road and take on this guy from the Ricketts, take them on as owners, because I think it'll be everything that they've stood by is kind of like going to be shoved in their faces. The SMG group, which Sasuke's actually just mentioning in his comments there, don't rule these guys out. I know people are saying there's nothing on them, but from what I read on a very good tabloid that does things for Chelsea, he's actually saying, one person actually said, don't rule them out. They're just trying to see if they can get a consortium together. So I wouldn't rule them out, even though the government are trying to say we don't want the people like, well, we're not saying so many words like the Saudis coming, but they're saying apparently, but they used the country, but I do believe Saudi was put in that to don't bring those kind of people here. But I, for one, don't believe that. I think that I will not rule them out. And I do believe they'll probably come down to the final three. I think they will still be amongst the final three of who gets Chelsea. My take on Todd Boehly, as I've said all along, the guy talks a good talk. I'm not going to say he doesn't. What he's done with this franchise is brilliant. My only concern with Todd Boehly, as I've said it all along, is the short term, brilliant. Get the fans on side, get the stadium built up, get the capacity out, say all the right things. My long term is my worry, because down the line, I just feel this guy will end up cash cowing our football club and taking money out of the football club down the lines if we start making profit on it. That's my only concern about this guy. And that, for me, long term is what I care about for my football club. Short term, all brilliant. Bring him in. Yes, the takeover's done. We're back to normal. Business is running as normal. I'm all for that, because I want to get us out of the situation as soon as possible. I want us to come out of this situation as soon as possible. But I'm also looking at the long term, and I just feel this guy down the line will start taking money out of the football club eventually, and we're going to see what's happening at United, what's happening some parts of Liverpool, not so much Liverpool now, but it happened before. 100% Manchester United. I can see this all happening to us. So for me, they're my only takes on everything. I mean, this other late group that I've read about, Citricus, they seem like a very, very good option as well.
What did you call the group?
Citricus, the one the guys.
Let entrant, right?
Yeah, the guys are all four season ticket holders at Stamford Bridge. I do believe they've got a net worth. I do believe this. If you read some stories, some are saying 29 billion, Some are saying 40 billion, some are saying 60 billion, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, you know. But I said it all along. Whoever comes to our football club, I just want someone to come to our football club and do it as Roman did. Take care, you know, love the club for what it is, not take money out of the football club and just take us, we're top already, but just take us to that further pedestal. And that's all I want from my football club, whoever it's going to be.
I think you made some great, you have some great updates for us, and I appreciate you saying that. And I think it's been everywhere also. Some people are concerned. I think it's a journalist called I forgot his first name, but I think his last name is Samuel, saying that for the US, it is profit first and glory second, which we don't have. For Roman, it is glory first, and I don't even know if we ever thought about profit. That's an issue for me with the Boehly's, but we'll see what happens. I used to say something about us supporting the club no matter who emerges the winner. That is very important. As DJ, I appreciate you saying that. I think whoever emerges as the winner, we must continue supporting our club. I'm not one of those that will say, "Oh, if this person emerges as the winner, I'm done with Chelsea Football Club." No, that's not me. And I understand your point on why we shouldn't give up on the Saudis. But I have a question for you. So you're saying that the rumors that they didn't make it to the final phase it's a lie?
Yes, it is. If you've gone about reading Ningzar Kinsella's tweets, and I do believe this guy is a very reliable source. I know Stav has got his opinions on reporters, but this guy is stuck by this story from the day one when this whole thing with Chelsea was coming out. And yes, they did make a last-minute bid in. Okay, and what people have got to remember with the Saudis is they want to do this under cloak and dagger. They don't want to be out there like all these other guys do. You know, let's think about it. Who knew Roman Abramovich when he came to Chelsea? Okay, no one knew of this guy. Yeah. Okay. Ken Bates. All I remember Ken Bates saying when I was watching it on the Chelsea TV back in the days, Ken Bates saying, "You Chelsea fans are going to be the envy of every other football club." I remember Ken Bates's words. All right, and those same words still go into my ear from the time he said that. Okay, and you know, this is why I said we should not rule out the Saudi medias or anyone else that could be silent bidders in this. No one knows the situation. I know they're tying it down to the last 3 today, but we just don't know. There could be someone who could come in last. And this is why I keep saying I'm not ruling them out for that reason. All I'm saying to Chelsea fans is don't think it's all done and dusted with the Saudis. They may not be the ones, but let's just not rule them out of it all. I know what Stav's taking
I think that's a great input. Stav, coming to you. Do you believe they're really still in the running for the ownership of the club?
I've never said anybody wasn't in the running. I merely voiced reasons why I think they may not be chosen in the end, and ultimately,
the conflicts of interest that we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, and I sent you an article last night, which basically says that the Premier League have their reservations. If we can't get it past the Premier League checks, then it's not going to happen, is it? So I'm not saying they won't, or they're not in it. Right, I never said any of that. Right.
No, I never said you did. We're just talking about, because there are rumors, especially on Twitter, that they didn't make it to the final phase. That was why I raised that question. I never said you did say anything like that. No, I did not. Go ahead.
I've not even bothered with Twitter. Right.
No, don't mind them. Yeah, that's a serious shot at me. But go ahead.
No, it's not. It's not a shot at you. The thing is with people on Twitter, right? It tends to be supporters voicing an opinion, or they take one thing and run with it, and they build it up and it blows up out of proportion. Right. At the end of the day, I don't read too much on Twitter. Yeah, okay, if it's like Simon Phillips or Nizar Kinsella or people like that, that's coming from media places. But I don't.
So overall, you're thinking it's not. That's not the case.
I don't trust Twitter, and I don't trust any of the media right now either, because they've all basically hung their reputations on one bidder or another. I mean, the thing is with this, I've read that Ricketts is the favourite one, right? And you have to remember that Ricketts and Boehly tried to buy the club previously, so they've already done their due diligence and their checks, right? And Ricketts, I think it's Tom Ricketts, is supposed to have had a meeting with the local MP, the local MP.
That's right.
Right? Who's obviously the local MP is not Labour, he's Conservative, which makes him part of the government. So you keep reading in one place, the government's not going to be that involved. Then in the next breath, they're having meetings with people. So, and it was the same thing that came out with Nick Candy, that he'd had a meeting with Mike Gov.
All right, and I want to say this to those in the chat. I am highlighting the comments. This is an interactive show. It wouldn't be possible without your input. So I'm going to start reading them in a bit. But right now, we're dealing with updates. And I have a question for you and DJ. We've all agreed, and we'll know quite well that there will never be another Roman Abramovich who put the club. That is, he's never concerned about profit. All he's always wanted is for the club to be successful, and he did say that in his statement when he was clear that he was going to leave the club. Now the question is, we must be ready to face the new. The truth is, we must be ready to face the new reality. And before I forget, please, I want to say welcome to Sheila. Sheila, how are you doing today? You're the one that won the giveaway for yesterday, and today we'll have also up to 120 people. At least 100, we will do another giveaway. I'm in that mood. So start coming to you. Let's say, face the truth. There's a new reality here. We've established that there will never be another Roman. So we must be prepared to face or to have an owner who will never spend without thinking, okay, how is the club going to recover this money? What do you have to say about that? Because we must accept that, the new reality is that we will get an owner who cares about profit and not just spending.
Yeah. For me, that's obvious. That's obvious, right? But you can get an owner who's going to maybe for the 4 or 5 years be willing to invest and improve the squad and things like that. And then the thing with Roman is, everybody said at the very beginning, you're in trouble because you'll get bored and he'll disappear, right? He'll just get sick and you lose your rich sugar daddy, right? And now he's only leaving because he's been forced into it. So ultimately would be it's not something that Roman wanted, and it's not something we wanted. There are people out there who will spend money, but not to that level, and they have to see.
And let me ask you before you continue: were you part of the show where I talked? I think I said it like 5 times that things may change. That we may get an owner who's profit focused. What are we going to do then? I don't know if you were part of the show, but I'm sure Mikhail. I think either Mikhail was and Bobby was, and the argument I got, I think. I forgot who it was. I think it was Bobby. That when we get to that bridge, we will cross it, and we're at that bridge now, and I think we're finding it difficult to cross it. But go ahead.
Right. The Saudi one, right, and the new one. I'm really bad on names. I forgot it already, even though it was mentioned at the beginning. Right. There are possibilities of people who would spend the money, but the money has to be there. The money has to be there, doesn't it? Right. And of course, with the Saudis, we can't be 100% sure, right, who's backing them and how much money the backers are willing to do. It's the same thing with Nick Candy. Yeah. He's got these Koreans, right? But ultimately, they'll put money in, but they'll expect something back. So it's not going to be the same as Roman. So
let me let
my choice is
go ahead.
My choice is Centricus. If I could pick one now, which is a four-season ticket holders, right? Because they're there, they're on the ground, they go to all the games, they'll get feedback. direct
Okay,
from
we'll talk.
supporters.
We'll talk about the centricals, because the truth is we're taking their profiles one by one, and we'll be analyzing their chances and the disadvantages that they may have. So, DJ, what I was saying before, the new reality, the fact is the culture at Chelsea will change in terms of how we spend money, in terms of how the new owners or whoever emerges as the owners, not being like Roman Abramovich, in the sense that Roman never thought about profit. All he wanted was the club to just be successful. But right now, the chances are the new owners, whoever they are or whoever that may be, we don't know yet, will most definitely be thinking about profit whenever they spend it. And I'm thinking the new owners will first say, okay, we had a loss of 140 million plus this past year. I think we have to break even before we even think about spending too much in the transfer market. So now, what do you think? The new reality is whoever takes over will most definitely be thinking about profit. How do we Chelsea fans, get used to this? Or what do we do? Because we have to adapt to that change. Are you there, DJ? Can you hear me, DJ? Stop. Are you back? Because it looks like we've lost DJ again.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. So how do you think we'll navigate that so that we can just switch to the main topic of the day?
Yeah, forget about the last year's loss. Right, everyone's lost money through COVID and all that stuff, right?
But don't you think that any profit-focused new
they're not
owner
gonna, yeah, but they're
would
not
want
gonna.
the club to break even first before spending that much money and spending a lot of money in the market?
Yeah, but they're not going to be spending the money they're already spending unless they believe they're going to make money out of it, right? So forget the debt. It's allowed, right? Both by UEFA and the EPL, because the EPL have their own spending restrictions too, right? Which is why certain groups are possibly going to be not accepted by them. And forget all that. People are coming in, right? Todd Boehly said he wasn't going to spend that much. Ricketts said he wasn't going to spend that much, right? And they both come in and they've offered money, right? In Boehly's case, he's even increased his bid. So they know they can make money from the club, right? But they know
but they will prioritize that over glory. Like I read that that journalist called, I forgot his first name, let's not name Samuel, saying for Americans it is profit before glory. So I'm going to come to you, DJ, and thank you, Star, for explaining that. DJ, we're so spoiled as Chelsea fans, and thanks to Roman, you understand, because it was never about profit for him. Now, the fact is the reality will change no matter who takes over. What are we going to do? Or if you want to make it an advice to the Chelsea fans, please do. But the fact is, I think we're going to find it difficult, to deal with the new reality. And I had a show here. I think the title of the show was New Signings Doesn't Have to Be Expensive. And during that show, I argued that what happens if we get an owner who's profit focused? What are we going to do? Because then when we're after Haaland, some people were saying, so you will see even some content creators who say, I heard some content creators then say, it's not my money, so I don't care, just pay it and get Haaland. And I'm saying the truth. Some content creators were saying that, and that then was dangerous. And I said during the show, what happens if we get an owner that's profit focused? And I think it was Bobby that argued. I said also something. What if Roman hands over to his son and his son becomes profit focused? What happened? I think Bobby said, I think when we reach there, we will cross it. But right now, we have to do what we have to do to stay at the top. So now, DJ, I don't know if you want to make it an advice, please do. But if you want to tell us how we can deal with the new reality, which is new owners will most definitely at some point be thinking about profit. And if they are Americans, be rest assured they put in profit first. Go ahead, DJ. I think we've lost him again. So let's continue with you and just switch with the topic of the day. What is your advice for the Chelsea fans, staff?
Yeah, I want to address what you just said, right? I've already addressed it once before, right? Man United, right? The Glazers, right? They make a profit. They make a profit, right? They're on a different level to us at the moment because of the stadium, right? They make money, right? It hasn't stopped them buying players, right? They've got the most expensive squad, like based on transfer fees and stuff. They've got the most expensive squad in the Premier League. They still make money, and they have obligations as well because they used banks to purchase United. So they're still paying loans. So they're paying loans, investing in the team, right, and making money out of it because the money that they get from Man United pays the loans, allows them to buy and put money in their pockets as well. So it depends how it's structured, right? It's not necessarily going to be bad, but like Martin Samuel said, that will ultimately be the Americans.
Yes, his name is Martin Samuel. Thank you very much. Yeah. Go ahead.
And he's a West Ham fan, right? And he's never really been pro Chelsea. So for him to come out with that, and basically he's been reasonable amongst the media towards the whole issue, right? And
so it's a neutral opinion.
Well, yeah, it's a neutral one because he has no reason to be pro Chelsea. But like I said, depends how they structure the club, and the thing is, it also depends where their money's coming from to buy the club. Is this money theirs, or is it money they're going to have to be paying back? And virtually everybody's got more than one person involved. So if Chelsea thinks going to work the same way as Man United, it's doubtful. So you have got a point, but I'm just trying to look at all angles. Ultimately, you're going to say to yourself, the one with Saudi is the best one for continuing the way we are. And then again, it depends. It depends who's funding him. I think it's his uncle or something. The whole family's worth 1.12 trillion, right? But it depends. His own personal fortune isn't what's buying the club, and it depends how he might want to spend money because he's a Chelsea fan. He might be okay with it, but then you don't know what the rest of the family are like. And
let me say this, Stav. I understand we all want an owner. If that is want an owner that's not going to be profits focused, but that's not going to last forever. It will always change at some point. I think it's better we start facing the reality right now. We can still be successful, not spending without caring whether we make profit or not, just as Roman did for us. I think it's important. For me, I'd say let that change immediately, because we're going to continue being spoiled and we'll never face reality. And maybe when we realize, but now it's not too late. And now we're lucky even that Roman is part of those that will decide who takes over the club. But go ahead so that we can start, we can read this comment on the screen and then go into the next topic.
No,
and for people, if you're in the chat, if you want to join, I have already added the link to the panel in the chat so you can join us if you have time. Go ahead, Stav. Are you still there, Stav?
Yeah, I had to switch my mic off because I was coughing.
Okay.
I don't really have much more to say about it. It goes back to the debate that we were having regards not being profitable and stuff like that, right? With Bobby Fairview, right? It goes back to that. I mean, Man City have got owners like Roman, haven't they? To all intents and purposes, right? And so have Newcastle, but there's still restrictions there, right? Which is why Roman structured things the way he did to get round the restrictions. And so, and this is why my argument was that we weren't really in debt or losing money, right? Because the way he'd structured things. I'll elaborate on that on Saturday, right? Let's stick to what we're... Let's
All
stick
right.
to
Thank you. So thank you. Tobago, coming to you. Tobago, welcome to the panel. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm good, and you?
Good day. Hi. Okay, good. I know. Say you're fine. So Tobago, let's talk about this. About what I call the new reality, because we've been spoiled as Chelsea fans, really spoiled. There was no time. Every time, we just care about the club, for the club to spend, and it became worse. We became even more spoiled because the club was still able to make profit, even though we were spending so much. Even after owing the owners so much, we were still able to spend so much and still make some gain, because the way he was spending the money, it was done in a manner that it was never a debt, right? Technically, it wasn't a debt. So now, how do we deal with the new reality, which is new owners or new owner will most likely be profit focused, whether they put profit first or whether they understand, okay, let's keep putting the club on the map. Let's keep making the club a superpower, and then profit will come second. But now the question is, how do we deal with the new reality, knowing that we cannot also always spend as we did under Roman Abramovich?
To be honest, I think we should just accept this situation, because like it's out of our hands. All we need to know, just you have to accept the new owner, give the new owner time, and then unfortunately, we all know some of the new owners who want to buy Chelsea are all for profit. So if the owners is for profit and then we are not dominating, that will be my problem. So if he comes here for profit and then we are the squad is balanced, then I'll be fine. That's my issue then. So unfortunately there will be no Roman Abramovich. We can't replace him. It's so sad, because like we all love him. So anyway, we just need to accept the reality, and then hopefully we don't get a owner that won't spend any penny, because that will hurt us. That's my say.
Yeah, it makes a great point. You make a very great point there, and it's important we realize that we're facing a new reality, and then be prepared, to roll along with it. So with that, thank you very much for that great input right there. We must learn that things have changed and adapt to it. We must not bitch about it. I don't know how else to phrase it, because some of us are just focused thinking if the Saudis come, or they're going to continue spending just as Roman did, and we're never going to have a problem. No, it will not be like that. Let me read the comment on the screen, and then we can quickly switch to the topic of the day, and then we'll come back to taking the comments, addressing the comments in the chat. This one here from my brother and CFC Fahim. And Fahim, I just made you an admin. I didn't realize you were never an admin on this channel. My apologies to you. Again, CFC Fahim, a great channel, always objective, no clickbaits, nothing. Real channel. You have to go check CFC Fahim and subscribe to his channel if you haven't. And wherever you're watching from, please don't forget to click on the like button, share the video, and Sheila, please do share with the video. I know you have a great following on Twitter. Please help us get more people to join the stream. So now this reads, Saudi interest in Chelsea is unlikely to be sticking point for the UK government, with Prime Minister Boris Johnson eager to secure a greater supply of oil from the Gulf and lessen our reliance on Russia. Now, this is a very tricky situation. I understand Fahim's argument, but I think also, to me, I think it's actually it's vice versa. The situation is vice versa for me. I think the UK government, if they have a preference, it would be to sell it to let the Saudis emerge as the winners, so that to tighten their relationship with Saudi Arabia, and then make the deal, make their need for oil, with the Saudis work. What do you think, Ashtaf?
I'm trying to not burst too many bubbles. Okay. Right. Now, I sent you that article, right, last night for a reason. Okay. Also, I've read somewhere that the government who own Newcastle are not happy about the Saudi media group's bid. Okay. So Boris Johnson went over there last week. He visited there, he visited Kuwait, and apparently he didn't get much encouragement from the Saudis. Right? He didn't get what he went to get. And a lot of the media were saying like how embarrassing the trip was for him. Right? And so I don't think the reliance on the oil is that relevant, right? Because they'll still want to sell it, right? The Saudis are still going to want to sell their oil. So you just increase your order, don't you? It doesn't mean you have to like bend over backwards and allow.
No, that doesn't mean it. Yeah, you have to do something to help you win it. You don't go ahead. I understand your point.
Yeah, right. So don't be reading too much into the fact that Boris Johnson wants to get more oil out of them or get more preferential and better prices and stuff like that. Like the Saudis are going to sell their oil. No matter what, they'll find buyers who'll pay the price they have to pay. So Johnson just went to try and get a more preferential price, right? At this moment in time, nobody's taking gas or oil from the Russians, right? Because it's not on. And like all he was doing is he was looking for preferential prices because of the sky-high fuel costs in the UK, and he's getting a lot of stick about that. So that's what he was trying to do. But the Saudis don't care. They're gonna have people who want to buy anyway, right? And if Boris Johnson wants the oil, he has to pay what everyone else has to pay. They don't care about that.
That's the truth.
They don't care. So it's pointless. Don't make too much of a big thing about the fact that Boris Johnson went to see the Saudis at night, because he came back with a negative response.
And I want to know, Declan, I want to let you know that the link to the panel is in the chat. If you have time, please join. Always good to see you around, my brother. This brother says, no need a Saudi. Okay, I understand your argument. And welcome to the channel. And please, wherever you're watching from, if you haven't, please like the video so we can reach more people. We're 37 minutes into the show. And like I promised, if we get to 100, at least 100 people, 100 people today, we'll do another giveaway. So that's an update for us from DJ Saab. Thank you very much for that update. So DJ Saab says this update from DJ Saab reads, report names the 3 individuals who would choose the final shortlist of bidders for Chelsea Football Club. And here, as you can see, the people are Chelsea chairman Bruce Buck and directors Eugene Tenenbaum, Marina Granovskaya, which means to me, I think we should be good, and whoever takes over, I think, will be well vetted from our own side, not just the government side. They will make sure that we're sold to somebody who would take good care of the club. Stav, who's Eugene Tenenbaum?
Yeah, I already mentioned these 3 at the beginning, remember? And I said,
I'm just asking, who's Eugene Tenenbaum? I don't know who that is.
He's on the board, and he's business acquaintance of Roman's for a long time. He's the one I told you yesterday. Roman sold his 2 companies to. Right? So he's a highly trusted person, and he's just a businessman basically. But he's on the board because they've been working together for 2 or 3 decades now. So that's who he is. He's just a business acquaintance and a board member.
Okay. So let's take this question, and I'll leave I've highlighted some good inputs in the chat that we're going to talk about later. This question is from Sheila. Sheila says, sorry, please, I need clarification on this. can Roman technically transfer the club to any of his kids and place it under their control? I think we've talked about that, but I think it's important. Let's talk about Tobago. You answered this question. I know staff have answered it before. Tobago, are you still with us? Okay, let me start by answering it.
No, I'm still here.
Okay. Do you see the question on the screen?
Yes, I think it's not possible.
Yeah, it is not possible indeed. That's a short answer. The fact remains, if it was possible, you can be rest assured, instead of handing over stewardship to the Chelsea trustee, charity trustee or whatever, that would have been the first choice. That would have been the first thing Roman would have done, because we wouldn't be even here talking about the sale of the club. Am I right, staff?
Yeah, his son's been sanctioned as well.
And exactly, and the fact is the son has been sanctioned too. So there's no need handing over the property to his son. It wouldn't make any difference. That would not have saved Chelsea Football Club from
Coachila,
being. Yes.
Sorry. I want to ask something. I saw, like they say, from reading all news almost every time, they're saying Saudi Arabia might be linked to the government, and then if they are linked to the government, they won't be able to buy Chelsea Football Club. So my question now, Nick Candy, he recruited a company from a Korea pension fund, and then apparently they are part of the government. So what is the difference there for you guys?
I'm not sure. Maybe Stav will better answer that question. Stav, what's the difference with Nick Candy's link to the government and the Saudis link to the government? But let me try a bit. I think the difference is the UK government are not in any way subsidizing Nick Candy's business. If you ask me, that's all I know. And so Nick Candy's link to them is that he donates money to them, but it's not like. But for the Saudis, they subsidize the businesses.
No, he included a company from Korea, right? And it's Korea pension fund. So automatically they're owned by the government.
Okay, Staff, can you come in with an answer if you better understand Tobago's question?
There's a difference between having links to Saudi government, which has got, shall we say, questionable practices, like human rights abuses, and being linked to the Korean government. South Korea, right, is an ally of the West. It's a totally different thing, and they don't have any issues with regards to human rights and things like that. Right, so that's the difference. Okay, but I read today a statement by one of the Koreans that Nick Candy hasn't been selected. Okay, and then that disappeared. So the page went missing. So maybe that one's going to pull out or whatever. But you have to look at the governments, right? And there's no Korean owners in the Premier League. Okay, so there's no conflict. The Saudis, the government, right? They give subsidies to all the media groups, because the media groups are expected to promote Saudi and the Saudi government. Okay, and I believe that the guy's uncle Saud, his name is related to the government royal family. So that's two links there. So that's why they're an issue. Whereas the Korean ones, there's no other team in the Premier League that has.
Okay, there's something else that Tobago mentioned here in the private chat. He's saying, let me read it again from here. He's saying that Korean pension fund is part of Nick Candy Group. The fact is, even if the Korean pension fund is part of it, that doesn't mean the government is part of it. it's an investment. And usually what you do with pension funds is that you invest it to make more money, to grow it. That's what I think. Do you have anything to say to that so we can quickly move to the main topic of the day?
Yeah, that's correct. It's nothing. It's basically a management group, innit?
Exactly. So they need to invest the money to make sure that pensioners make more money and not run out of money. So it's an investment. Yeah, go ahead.
The same with me. I've got a pension that I took out with a company that I work for, and I transferred the money out of the UK because the UK government were going to tax it too much. So my money's sat in the Isle of Man, not in the UK, and it's managed by a company in Malta. So that's just the company in Malta is the investment company, the ones who decide where to invest it. And then the money's sat in a bank in the Isle of Man.
Yeah. So okay, now thank you very much for taking some time to answer that question. Let's move to the topic of the day, which is the Boehly Group. Why they may or may not be the favorites to emerge as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club. So I'll start with you, Stav. What do you think are the advantages they have, if any?
One, that they've already had dealings with developing a stadium. They've got sports involvement. Okay, and they tried to buy it before as well, and they just didn't match Roman's price. So that's three things: stadium development. They actually have sports team experience, and they already tried before, so they could very well have a decent relationship with Roman, unless you want to believe the story that he doesn't want to sell to Americans. But I'm not believing that.
Good. Let's once. But how successful he's been an owner of sports team, but how successful has this sports team been? If you're in the chat, let us know if you know how successful Todd Boehly's sports team has been. Are you any idea of that, Staff?
No, not my.
Okay, go ahead.
Not my thing. It's not my thing. US sport.
Tobago, if you've heard, I don't know how well you know the Nick Candy Group, the Todd Boehly Group. What do you think are advantages they have over the others?
Advantage of Todd Boehly is that you already owned some clubs, NBA and what basketball and what baseball, I think. And then I saw some of his interview, like they interviewed him, and then he was talking about winning mentality, sports all about winning, and then it's all about the fans. So I just like that from him, because like clearly this guy wants to win. You invest in a club, but it's all about winning. So hopefully, if he comes, he can come in and give Chelsea Football Club a winning mentality. You just need to win. That's all.
Yeah, I've heard about the winning mentality, and Fraser here says, let's go back on Twitter. Already said about Todd Boehly, and it says let's go back is an American Chelsea fan, and he already said about what Todd Boehly is. Can you update us on that, because I'm not sure, I didn't read that, and we're here to educate people who haven't seen it. And for me, yes, I don't know much about his sports team and how well they've done. Fraser, you can update it. And again, welcome to the show. Always good to see you. Pierre here says Todd Boehly in his bid has stated they do not support the Super League, and that answers CFC Fahim's question. Here, do you guys think Boehly would be for the Super League? So I think we can agree we've established the reason why the advantage they have is that they know how to run a sports team, and like Staff did mention, they possibly may have a good relation, or may already have a good relationship with Roman Abramovich, given that Boehly wanted to buy the. They have also they talked about how much they will invest in renovating or rebuilding the Stamford Bridge. To me, I think we talked about it the other day. I think the mathematics doesn't really make sense. The estimate is that it would take around 1 billion dollars or so to renovate, to bring Stamford Bridge up to standard, up to a world-class stadium, and they are estimating around 500 million for the renovation. So I'm not sure how possible is that. Sab, I'm quite sure you remember that comment. We talked about it the other day on the show. So what do you think? But before I hand over to Stab, I want to see. I don't think I've seen Andrew Nkrumah here before. That sounds like a Ghanaian name, but wherever you are from, welcome to the show and welcome to Chelsea Perspective. Nice to see you here. And if you haven't, please, wherever you're watching from, make sure to click on that like button so that the Google algorithm can push the stream to more people and we'll have more people on the stream. So, Stab, coming back to you, what do you think about the mathematics we did the other day concerning the renovation of the stadium?
Well, the mathematics can work if he greatly changes it. If he greatly changes the stadium, and it's
that is if he drops that's the former plan.
Yeah, and if he comes up with one of his own. The thing is, my problem is that he said he would do it slowly and in stages, which means you're still going to have where we've got a lower capacity than the other club for the period of time. So he may decide to do it bit by bit and keep the same stadium running, like Ken Bates did. He didn't do the stadium all in one go. He built 3 stands. The East Stand remained, which was the one from '70s, and that's a bit outdated now as well. And he built the other 3 stands, but one at a time. So there was a longer process. I don't know if he's developed his own stadium. Maybe he has his own ideas on how to do it. But I will question one thing that Tobago said, right? Tobago said, right? He said being successful, it doesn't matter. He has to think about the fans, etc., and all that, right? To me, and to Pierre, and to Nick Blue, and Max Burton, that going back to the '70s, right? It doesn't matter because we had a long period of time where we had that. But to the more recent fan base, it does matter. That's how you built the fan base up, through success, through people seeing Chelsea on TV winning something. That's how we started, right? My first FA Cup final that I watched was 1970, the one Chelsea won. And that's how I started, although I was born near the stadium, not as near as Pierre, right? That's how I started supporting it. So the success does matter. If you're going to maintain the profile of the club and the brand, you have to have some success. So it does matter. So dare I say this, right, without wishing to upset anybody, that at least the Ricketts are saying that they're looking for the championship. They want a championship. So whether they're saying that just to attract the support and the fans and things like that, we don't know.
We'll talk about the Ricketts when we get to their.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is I'm giving you a comparison, right? That's what they're saying.
Go ahead. You were saying something.
Yeah, that's what they were saying, right? And that Boehly's not saying the same thing, right? There has to be a level of success, right? There has to be. You don't have to spend millions and millions and millions to have that level of success. And
because the fact is, even if you're for profit, if the club is not successful, you're not going to get big sponsors, and you're not going to get, I think people ain't going to come to watch your games that much because yeah, even if you're for profit, you need success to even make more profit. I hope I'm right with that. But go ahead, Stav. You were saying something.
Yeah, I want to say two things quickly. Like, the first one is, that's why people want. It's not just about tradition staying at Stamford Bridge, right? It's it's an area which is close to tourist areas and stuff like that as well, and it's lucrative. It's lucrative, right? And if you're going to fill a 60,000 stadium and you're not winning, you're going to need tourists and people like that to go to games as well. So that's another reason why we should stay there. And the second thing is, can I just clarify, right, that anybody who looks in close enough, Roman has not been investing money, right, like he did at the beginning for a good few years now. And we've all, in the last 6-7 transfer windows, we've had to sell to buy, right? We've sold to buy, right? And we've got assets there, right, in the squad, which we might not want, but other clubs will. So we've been selling to buy for a while now, right?
Yes, I want to just answer this question. Yes, bless up, Coachila. Looks like the channel is doing well. Congratulations on the numbers of likes and people in the chat. Yes, thank you very much. The channel has been doing well, and thank you so much to people in the channel. People like Frizz O, Sasuke Uchiha, DJ Sap 17, Jos Viola, who's not here, Mikhail, and every other person, CFC Fahim, who provides graphics and information, and Shilo, and everybody else, because this is a channel for everyone. Frizzo has been great up here, has been great with the updates, helping us stay updated, helping us keep those that visit up to date on the status of the sales of our beloved club. So it's not just my effort alone, it's effort of staff who's always on the panel, Tobago always on the panel or in the chat supporting and also updating us with new information. So yeah, I'm happy here. The numbers are good, and I know it can only get better. And yeah, thank you very much again for saying that. So go ahead, Stav.
Yeah, so that's what the people need to realise, that despite the money Roman put in, right, we've already started the process of changing our approach within the transfer window. Okay, so, and with regards to the money that Roman invested, it should be noted that he did that for a reason, having it as a loan. Like, it's not a loss. He turned it into a loan. He spent even more than that 1.5 billion, right? But at the beginning, what he was doing is he was converting his loans into shares in the club. It's because the club is structured as a PLC, right? And it's technically owned by Fordham, which is the parent company that Roman owned, right? So don't read too much into that 1.5, because that's the way he structured it, right? Because it's a PLC, so that it would, if Chelsea went bust, for example, then Fordham wouldn't suffer, okay, right? And vice versa. So it's just a safety thing. It was a safety net. It's not.
Yeah, just quickly, something else. I think this first or saying nothing here is with regards to the question here from Sasuke Uchiha, who asks Frizz, anything on the Saudi media group, and his response is nothing. And you know, Frizz is, I think he's connected somehow, and he's always bringing us an update. Go ahead. If you, I think there's an I think Tobago may have an update for us. Tobago, go ahead. Hopefully your mic isn't flickering right now. Go ahead, Tobago. We're waiting for you for the update. Sorry, Stav, I didn't mean to cut you off. Apologies.
Do you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you, but your mic is flickering a bit. I'm not sure why.
I think it's
maybe you want to go out and come back in. I think that may make a huge change, a huge difference.
Okay, are you following this guy, CLC Files?
We can't hear you, so maybe you have to go out and come back in. Maybe that will make a difference. So, Stav, something else I wanted to talk about, Stav, is this. I don't know how people reason, and maybe because, like we've established here on the show, is that because we're so spoiled. Can you share the tweets? If you have my Twitter account, can you share it in the inbox? And now, let me say this: what people were all bent about. Todd Boehly's comment that he's not going to come in and spend like that. It's going to be data. His spending is going to, and whatever he does at the club, if he emerges as a winner, will be data driven. And people are all bent out of ship out of that. They're going, oh, he doesn't want to spend money. Let's be truthful, let's be objective here. All those Chelsea fans who are all bent out of shape because he said his dealings or whatever he does at the club will be data driven. Think about if they buy a business and they are all, if they're individually, if they are entrepreneurs, would they spend recklessly? No. Because I think the issue's been, the truth is we've been spoiled under Roman, that we always want somebody who will come in and just keep spending the money and not thinking about, okay, where do we go from here? And if you keep spending recklessly, actually, we get into trouble under the FFP. Tobago, can you DM me the tweet? So now let me say this, Stav. What do you think about that? That the fact that people are bent out of shape because of his plans to, not spend anyhow, that's to spend, carefully. Are you there, Stav? Declare, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you doing?
I'm here.
Morning.
When you're
How you doing?
Awesome. So go ahead, Stav. What do you think about the Chelsea fans are being bent out of shape because Todd Boehly said he's not going to spend it recklessly?
Well, he needs to be more specific about what he's talking about with data driven. There's no point throwing these fancy words in, right? The normal man on the street, the normal fan sat in the stand, right? The normal long distance supporter or fan sat in their homes or their pubs around the world, right? They want clarification, don't they? He needs to be more clear. And coming out with he's not going to spend X amount in this and that, right? He's not going to get carried away, and it'll be data driven. What's data? What's data driven?
Steph, there's only one club that praise their data driven, and that's Liverpool. And so because of the American owners, there is a link there.
Yeah. So you're thinking, there's a link there if you ask me. So you're thinking that's a disadvantage to him, because the truth is, Declare, we're here to talk about why the Todd Boehly group may or may not be the favorites to emerge as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club. So do you think that statement will be a disadvantage for him?
Of course, I said it yesterday. I said, look, if you look at the history, if you look into Todd Boehly and who his backers, they do not know anything about football. When it comes to, I don't know, what does he own? LA Dodgers. Whatever American sport he owns, I can say he understands that sport. And that sport is a super league. It's franchised and it's over there and it's very limited. He has no idea about football. He has no idea about data driven, right, in football, right? He has no background in Europe and how transfers work and negotiation and nothing. So how can he come out and say, well, we're going to do sensible spending? Has Chelsea done reckless spending? I mean, besides Lukaku being a mistake, we thought a lot of our transfers, we thought Marina did a good job on the prices she got. Some players didn't turn out, but on when the transfers happened, right? Like Chilwell, 50, like I felt that Chelsea majority of the time got good prices for some of their transfers, right?
They have.
Chelsea don't have a history. Yeah, Chelsea don't have a history of reckless spending. Like, if we compared ourselves to Barcelona and Real Madrid, that's reckless spending. That's just, almost showing off. We've got big money. We're going to get the biggest players. So Chelsea don't have a history of reckless spending. We actually have a lot of spending, and done in a very good way, which Mourinho has been praised for in the past. Some haven't worked out, some haven't. But not even a data-driven club like Liverpool has got it worked out. Right, so he's already, before he's come in, already warning people well, we're going to do sensible spending. Well, he doesn't know what he's dealing with yet. So usually, I'd expect that statement, right, to come in later. So our owner comes in, makes a statement signing, puts money into the stadium, right? And then later on says, well, we're building a stadium. We have to do sensible spending, right? We can't spend a lot because we're building a stadium. That's when that statement comes in, not before he's bought the club, right? So if you say that now, that means he's giving a warning, or he's already looked at Chelsea and what we've done as reckless. So that already fans can take into account and say, well, this guy's going to make cheap buys. He's already going to have the mentality of trying to get value buys, right? So when we compare two players that we can get, right? And he's just going to go for the cheaper one all the time. When paying the extra,
and you think okay, overall, I understand your point,
get my idea?
And I think it makes perfect sense. But what I want to ask you right now, Declan, is overall, what are the disadvantages? What you think or things you think that don't make them the favorites to emerge as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club?
They can be. They're not my favorites. They can be favorites. They can be favorites of the media or whoever. I have no idea who's competing and how the process and how they're judging it. But for me, I don't want them. I don't put them as one of the favorites. For me personally, I want, because like I said, not only Todd Boehly said all those things which don't even make sense, and all I wanted was someone to come in and just continue what's going on in the club. I mean, the way he's talking, the way, Coach, the way his statements sound like we're in trouble. Like we're not the champions of the world or nothing like that. That this club is in trouble,
like
and has made a lot of mistakes.
Like he's coming in to make us better.
Yeah. All we really need is someone just to continue what's going on here, to back Tuchel and just keep going. What's going on? We got the easiest job for any owner. Just come in and keep doing, keep going. What's going on? That's it. And look at commercial areas to improve, like the stadium, maybe different areas of the world, like that sense that hasn't been done by Roman. But to come in and already talk about like he doesn't know anything about football. So he's going to make heaps of mistakes. Yes.
Overall, what do you think? That is. What do you think that doesn't make them the favorite? What do you think?
Their backers as well was criticised. Remember, they were individual parties beforehand, and now they combined.
Wyss.
Yeah, those parties weren't that good too, and at the age and their investments, they got investment plans, so they're going to want some money back. The other thing that was Goldman Sachs advisor was linked to Todd Boehly as well. So, which I talked about, they're looking at how they can get a loan and buy the club and then put that on the club like the Glazers did. So the Glazers didn't put a cent of their own money into Man United. It was all loans. Then they leaned those loans on the Man United brand, and Man United pay those loans off. And that's my biggest worry. And if you're going to Goldman Sachs, you're actually looking at the same thing. So they can say all great things now.
Let me recognize one moment. I'm sorry, Declan. I didn't mean to cut you. Let me recognize those in the chat. Big up to you, Ankit from Almighty Blues FC. Great channel, Almighty Blues FC. Please go check it out. Check out the content. I can assure you, after the first time you check it, you will be, you will subscribe, because it's great content as usual. Here he says, hit the like button, people, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I want to recognize the presence of Bobby, Smoky Signals. Bobby, always nice to see you here. And thank you for not specifically saying that that's for the cloud. Yes, 100% blue. It's of all of us. So I'm not jealous today.
I think that's for me.
Thank you. Always good to see you around. So Declan, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so as I was going about the Glazer type model, it's my biggest worry.
You were saying something about they did not spend their own money; they borrowed money.
Yeah, so that's what makes all these investors really interested, because what the Glazers did is not spend their own money, then use the brand, and then take money out later, and no one can do anything. And everyone might not like the Glazers, right? But as if you're a venture capitalist or investment group, that looks like a great story. To them, it's very interesting, and it gets them very interested, and that's why everyone's willing to throw money and think they can make money out of Chelsea. You know what? I'll say 90% of people that are bidding are trying to do that, and Todd Boehly is one of them. But what makes it even worse for Todd Boehly is, to me, the statements that he's been making. He doesn't know anything about football. He's been trying to say the right things, but he's almost making it out like whatever we're doing hasn't worked out. So that's why I don't want him to be the favorites, but people are warming up to him, which I hate. The media are trying to push him, but
I think here's the thing, Declan. If the rumors are true, and those you could argue are everybody's favorite, if they're not part of the final phase, I think if the Bollies and maybe the Ricketts are the two that are left, the most likely choice for the fans will be the Bollies, and you know why. But I think there are more people involved, like what you call the century curse, or what you call the other people. I think there are more people involved that we know, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, see, and what's going to be like, people can say, I told you so at the start. I can tell you now, with most of the people that come in, it's going to be great at the start. With any owner, it's going to be great, right? And people are going to think we're in great hands, right? From what I'm saying, isn't going to show, right, or stick its head out of the grass till maybe 4 or 5 years. So whoever comes in has some goals and are going to invest and whatnot, right? But then after that, that's when they're going to, whenever they build the bank, that's when they're going to start taking money out of the club. And that's what I hate, and that's what I can foresee. So even though I can say, I can keep saying about Todd Boehly, and then it turns out, and then he becomes the owner, and he does great things the first 2 years, and everyone's going to say, declare, look what he's doing, you're wrong, this, that. I'm telling you now, right, that what I'm saying is going to happen long term, and then we're going to be ones like, the Glazer model, and we're going to be, protesting and whatnot. And I hate to see that too. That's why the closest owner to Roman, being the Saudis, and that's why I was pushing for it, because it's the best, probably reckless model. But sticking on the Bollies, right? I don't get why is it down to like Boehly, Nick Candy?
No, that's just people. That's just people's. That's what people are thinking. Nobody is certain what's going on. We're not at the table with those facilitating the selection process. So everything is just at this point all speculations. You cannot be certain what's. We're not certain what's going on. So, Declan, I think with that we can transition to their disadvantages, because you started it. I will come to that, but I want us to take this update on the screen. And let me ask this, staff, can you educate us, who's Catalina Kim?
Yeah, how old is that tweet?
Today. I read that.
I think it's new. His latest tweet, I think.
Her latest tweet.
I heard it was an Instagram story.
She's one of she's one of the Koreans, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is...
Okay, and he reads, the funds will come with strategic partners that every football club needs for its stable and continued success. Very excited for the plan we have for Chelsea FC. So we're not going to read through these. I think this is just a background of thank you for continued support from everyone for our process of buying Chelsea FC. We are very much pleased with blah, blah, blah. And something here, fund established by the government of South Korea. Okay. This part here says National Pension Services of Korea, a public pension fund in South Korea, the third largest in the world, 800 billion in assets, Korean Investment Corporation, sovereign wealth fund established by the government of South Korea in 2005 with 180 million in assets under. So I think it's just this is the background to their financial stability or something like that, and I think that's great to see, but that's fine. Okay, now I understand who they are. This is the Candy, part of the Candy group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you for that update, Tobago. I like it. Now, coming back, let me see. Let's take some. Bobby, welcome to the panel, by the way. Let's take some input here in the chat. I think we've read this one. This is Pierre saying the use of data mentioned by Boehly originated from Chelsea fan Daniel Finkelstein, who used it as a football tool in his Times column. The think tank, and he is part of the consortium. I see. So he must be the one with the idea there. Akash says it's Candy versus Boehly or some unknown. We cannot be sure. We're not part of the group that's facilitating the selection process. And if it happens, we protest. Not like United and Arsenal fans, but real protest. Burn down London. Well, I'm not in support of that. Whoever emerges as the winner, I will support. I'm not one of those saying I'll give up Chelsea if certain group wins. We have our choices, but we must support whoever emerges as the new owners of our beloved club. That's what matters. Okay, these are comments here. I say Stav is right to dismiss anybody dropping that data-driven, whatever, NFTs, crypto, fintech, are the marketing levels that frauds are wrapping BS business cases to make them sound attractive. That's the truth. Letters, yes. And can this new bid be verified? The leading bid, according to sources close to Rain Group, Woody Johnson, $3.7 billion US dollars. Media, $3.5 billion. Todd Boehly, $2.7 billion. Sam, what do you think about that comment there?
No, can't confirm anything. Can't verify anything because they're supposed to be secret bids.
Okay, right? Yes, okay, thank you very much. Yeah,
that
makes
that makes sense. Coach,
yeah.
Nick, the Kathleen from the Korean group, I forgot her surname, that you read out, which I found. Yeah, I found that interesting. That if that's true and she pulled out already, then that means parties are getting notified that they didn't make the shortlist. Is that right?
Yeah. Can I?
I think technically that's what it means. Yeah. Go ahead, Stav. You want to say something?
Before you bring Bobby in, and that's obviously, can I just say something? Right. I asked you how old that Twitter statement was. From that Caitlin,
apparently, I read it today.
I think it's just a new
tweet from her Instagram. Yeah, but originally it was from her Instagram story, and so I read that earlier today. Well, today for me. Sorry,
I think Staff's question makes sense, but when was that released on Instagram? But then again, it's irrelevant right now because it's just the background.
So, if in hours because of the time zone, right? It was I read it about 10 hours ago.
Right. Can I explain why I'm asking?
Yeah, go ahead, Stav.
Right. I've read a statement from her. She was asked by Nick Candy, right? Could she send something to the British government to show in support of their application, right? And stuff like that. And then she was told not to bother. And the inference was that Nick Candy's been turned down, right? That's why I'm asking, because that's disappeared from view now. And she basically hinted that they'd been turned down already, right? And they're expecting, according to Sky, not that it's the greatest world source, that there's going to be an announcement tomorrow with regards, right? I think we've reached a stage now where Marina, Bruce Buck, and Eugene Tenenbaum have been informed, and they're going to have a look at it and have their input. No doubt contact Roman, no matter how much Boris doesn't want them to, right? So what I read this morning was a statement by her saying that Nick Candy had asked her to send an email to the government, the minister who's handling the thing, right? And give a more expansive statement as to what their involvement was. Now, that could have been what you've just read out, okay? But then she then quantified it by saying that she then received another message saying, don't bother, it's not necessary. And she hinted that they'd been informed that they weren't in the final 3 or 4. And that's why I'm asking you that.
We could probably find it.
Okay,
Apparently, it
yeah,
was
that's a
on her
great point.
Instagram. It's her statement. It might not be hard to find if we look.
Right, listen, I'll drop out and I'll find it, right?
Okay.
I'll drop out.
That's
and I'll
important,
find it.
but you should remember mainly we're talking about the profile of the Todd Boehly group, but that information will also be good because this is a fan-driven show, which means the comments in the chat drive the show, not necessarily those on the panel. So, yeah, so thank you. If you want to do that stuff, you're very welcome. So going to Bobby. Bobby, welcome to the panel, and sorry for keeping you waiting for a long time.
Hi guys. Hi. No, that's fine. I just thought I'll pop in, working as usual, but when I've got a minute, I either listen or join if I can.
Brilliant. That's why I appreciate you so much, brother. Thank you very much for finding time to join. So the question for you, Bobby, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to talk about first before I ask you any questions.
No, we can jump straight into the questions. I'm sure other things will come as a result of that, especially
Brilliant.
on this subject matter.
Yes, thank you very much. The question I wanted to ask you, I don't know how well are you well acquainted with the Todd Boehly group, or you know everything about them. If yes, I wanted to ask you, what do you think are the advantages they have? What makes them the favorites to emerge as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club?
Look, I know just about as much about Todd Boehly as most Chelsea fans. I know he's been interested in Chelsea for a long time. He has bid before in the past directly to Roman Abramovich. And we know the structure of his bid. The person with the with the structural expertise as far as rebuilding is concerned is a supposed Spurs fan. And you see, one thing about these so-called front runners, and very soon we'll find out if they were ever front runners at all, is the likes of Boehly, the Ricketts, Nick Candy. They have very good PR machines, and that's why we're hearing more about them than anybody else. There are other bidders.
Can I come in just 1 second, Bobby? That's a very, very sweet input right there. They have a very good PR machines. So even at first we heard the Saudis had already put in a bid, and then later we heard their bid was actually one of the last to be received by Rand group. So yeah, good input right there. They have very good PR machines. That's why probably we're seeing them as favorites. There could be some people in the background doing more than these guys we're hearing much about. So Bobby, thank you for that. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I just listened to Sky Sports now, where Carvey was speaking to, I always forget this guy's name. He's one of the few Chelsea fans on Sky Sports about this purchase. And he said, look, there are people with the money to do this. And, you know, if you have the money, what's the point talking? Just put your bid in. And this is what's happening with some of the ones that we may not get to hear about until later on today, tomorrow, or towards the end of the week. It's interesting to note that, look, Chelsea fans, we've got to understand that we're not part of the selection process. We can't be, and neither will we be. Yes,
no, Bobby, speak for yourself. I'm part of it.
Okay. Okay.
Dream on, declared it's very possible. You never know.
Yeah, I'm making careful choices here. Big moves.
And I think we shouldn't talk much about that, because I have an episode of this whole sales process planned where whether the fans' opinion matter or not. But go ahead, brother. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, we are fans. We will talk about our opinions. We have the right to. Thankfully, we, I believe all of us live in a free world, in a free nation, in a free society. So we should have the freedom to do that. But the reality is, as with any job application, those that are going to do the employing are the people that will sift through the applications, check the CVs, check the experience, and see if they match up with the job description, which in a way is what's going on here. And that will be being done in the first instance by what's his name, Tabuan. I always forget how to pronounce his name. Bruce Buck, Marina, and of course Roman himself. And then that moves on to the government, who in essence are, we are told, meant to just make sure that any funding does not get to Roman. And then it moves on to the fit and proper persons in the Premier League, who are fully aware of the situation and should, by the time it gets to them, have an easier selection as to whether the selected bidder is suitable or not. Now, a lot of people have put their opinions in. The Ricketts this, that, and the other, Boehly this, that, and the other, Candy this, that, and the other, which I must confess I'm a little bit suspicious of because of the favouring of the media. I don't trust the media, and if what Stav says is correct, that they are no longer selected, it wouldn't leave me with great disappointment, but I don't think we've actually got there yet, and we don't know. And if the Koreans that are backing him have gone as far as to state their financial capability, maybe that might work in his favor. My only concern with that is if you're relying on sponsors, what happens if you fall out with your sponsors and they decide to stop underwriting your project, if that's possible? So these are all the weaknesses. We know fully well what the weaknesses are of a number of these applicants. I've just read today about some IT network worth about 98 billion who have also dropped an application. So it's going to be interesting. I believe definitely Roman, Bruce Buck, Marina, and the other guy, Taban, what's his name? Taban.
I found it difficult to say that. I think Tabanum or something.
Yeah, him. I mean, they know what the club needs. They know the direction the club needs to go.
So they will eventually make the right choice for us. Go ahead.
Yeah, the selection is going to be a sensible selection. It's going to be somebody who is unlikely to trigger the government.
Mm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You broke up a bit, but we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you crystal clear. We lost some. Stav, do you have information on that?
Yeah, I went back in where I found it. There's 2 links to the stories, and they both disappeared. The links are there, but when you go to the page, it says unable to find the page. So maybe she spoke out of line and they've removed it.
Or maybe found out things changed and then she took it off.
Yeah, my just getting back to what Bobby was saying there, right? Is
I think he's back. Bobby is back.
Yeah, go on.
Go ahead, Bobby. Bobby, are you there? Can you hear us?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you crystal clear. Go ahead.
Yeah, I apologize. My device,
no
when
problem.
I move to certain areas, it just cuts out.
It happens.
Sorry, where was I? Was I saying something about the selection process?
Yeah, I think you were. Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
so I mean,
Marina and those guys will make sure we're in good hands.
Yeah, I mean, I will be surprised if they select somebody that is unsuitable. Roman, people are going around saying, no, Roman won't approve people coming from the countries that sanctioned him. I don't look at it that way. I said on a platform yesterday, Chelsea Football Club is one of Roman, in fact, if not, Roman's love. This will be hurting him. I really, dare I say, I feel sorry for him. I haven't seen evidence that he actually deserves this, but it is what it is. And he is in a position where something he has nurtured for nearly 20 years, invested his financing, he can't even get any profit from. So, Roman Abramovich, from what we have seen, has only done good for the club, only done good for the community, only promoted anti-Semitism, anti-racism, anti-Islamophobia.
Against all sorts of discrimination.
He has been the most progressive football owner in the world. He has employed black people, white people, whatever, into top positions where no other Premier League club has done this. So you can't really knock the man for his apparent morals where the club is concerned. And I just think he would put this in the hands, as much as is reasonably possible, into somebody that will continue his legacy, and he will walk away. He will walk away. And it's a sad situation. And XYZ down the line, what he's done will come to the fore again, because, you know, as far as Chelsea Football Club is concerned, I don't know the details of other issues, but he has done right. And you should not take that away from him. So he's not going to throw us under the bus, not at this point. Not after saying that he'll give up his money. Money was never the issue for him and Chelsea, and that says everything. However, in this instance, money is the issue. These people that are saying, oh, it doesn't matter about the money, we just want people. It does. You know, you've got to have the money to buy the club. You've got to have the money to invest. You've got to have the money to progress the club. So money is a big issue here as a starting block. It's the only certainty that we know. You know, people can come and say this, that, and the other. If you don't have the finances, this, that, and the other means nothing. So, you know, first of all, your ability to do what you say, and then we have to wait and see that you do it. Will it ever be a Roman? Of course not. Will it ever progress the club? It has every ability to do that. Does it need to be of the favored few that we are seeing? Not necessarily. There are lots of other bidders that we don't know about. Do the fans have a say in this matter? Absolutely not.
Yeah. With that, thank you for that great input. I'm going to bring in Nick Blue to give us his thoughts. But before that, we have to
quickly give an update on the Kathleen stuff that I found the Instagram. It's quite interesting.
Okay. Let's bring in Nick Blue, because he hasn't spoken for a while. And before Nick speaks, sorry, Declan, let's just give him a chance if you don't mind, bro.
I was just going to say what it said anyway.
Yeah,
I'll come to you. Bruce Brock has had input, and the expected shortlist will be of
it'll just be one minute, Nick Blue. I'm not going to sit here and think. She actually said the opposite. This was 1 hour ago. She linked this is all on Instagram, linked the Matt Law article who summed up what she said. And she's just writing that she's very pleased with our additional investors. So it's quite the opposite of the statement that's been going around. She's actually keen, and she's happy that more groups have come in. And this was an hour ago. So
technically,
she's
saying that they're still in the running.
They're still in the race, and even with the confidence to say at the end here, very excited for the plans we have for Chelsea. After after explaining all the new investors and where they're coming from, and that was an hour ago as well. So it's quite opposite of what we were saying before, which is kind of interesting. I wonder if that was fake or not.
And that was why we've always said on this show, whatever we talk about here, we can only speculate. None of us are at the table with those that are making the decisions. So being objective means we just have to, go through what we see in the media, what we see from some sources, and then try to make sense of the whole situation. And then, according to Tobago here, according to Ben Jacobs, the Saudi media group is still in the race. But yesterday we saw something that specifically said they did not make it. They're not going to make it to the final phase. For every situation you see lots of conflicting reports. So Nick Blue, coming to you, what do you think are the advantages or disadvantages for the Todd Boehly group? It's no need saying what you don't like about them, but generally, what do you think are the what makes them the favorite and what doesn't make them the favorite?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm not sure if they are the favourites. They're one of the favourites, but it's not just them. I still think the Saudis, they're too quiet. They're doing things in the background, privately, very quietly. So we don't know. All right, the time is against them, supposed to be, but that's if the government let the Premier League take time. Maybe they can do a deal with the government and have it done quick. We don't know. So yeah, Todd Boehly, he's a rich owner, very rich owner. As you know, I don't mind who comes in really, as long as they do the main things. Rebuild Stamford Bridge, that's number one. Number two, look after the academy. Number three, look after the ladies team. And Emma Hayes and Thomas Tuchel, long contracts for them. And Rudiger as well, and Aspie, give him another contract. If they do all these things, I'll be on their side. Whoever comes in. And if someone does come in who we don't like and he doesn't do what he promises, then that's the time we go and shout. We protest, we shout, and we show what we think of him.
And
That's
do you
what we
think
can
that
do right
if
now.
that happens, I'm not praying it happens, God forbid, if it happens, do you think the fans' protest will make any sort of difference?
Yeah, it can make a big difference, like it did when we shouted against the Super League. If it wasn't for us fans, who God knows where everything been right now. We made sure we were the first fans in this country to make it calm down. We got Czech out of that bloody office. Sorry for swearing. We make Czech come out and get the message to Roman. As soon as Roman saw what we felt, he backed down. And he was the first to do that. We can do it. We fans, it's not just me, fanatical fan here. There's thousands and thousands of fans like myself, older fans who understand Chelsea, their history and everything. And, how many times I keep saying, we have a voice, and we always will have. And today I've done something. I called Chelsea Football Club just to see what they say. I know they ain't going to tell me nothing, but I called them. And they said the matter's been dealt with. No one is favourite. We even we don't know. The guy on the phone, he said, we don't know exactly who's going to be the owner, but it's in good hands because it's Roman. Roman knows what to do. How many times we keep saying it? And stop listening to this media and tweets are rubbish. That's all people are doing lately. And some pundits who haven't got a clue. Listen to people like Hasselbank, Joe Cole, Rio Ferdinand, people like that. Don't listen to this media rubbish and journalists because they haven't got a clue about our club.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that input. Bobby, I want to start with you on this one, then I'll go to Declare, and then I'll go back to Stav. This on the screen, because this is a fans-driven show, says, how are the Ricketts still in the race? I will never know. We are going to be called racist FC if they buy us. Bobby, what do you have to say about this comment on the screen?
Look, there's been a lot of uproar about the Ricketts. I didn't really know too much about them until this bidding process has started. And there are people who are convinced that they are racist people. I'm very cautious with that. Why do I say this? We're living in a time where it's very easy and it's often done to stigmatize people. Anything that may have happened in the past that can be used as a weapon against you is magnified and thrown to people that are reactive to latch onto it. What's happened to Roman Abramovich is almost a living example of that. He's been punished for something he did over 20 years ago in terms of association. And, it would probably, as it would seem, in his mind, it was a business transaction and network process. To the government's minds today, it was a conspiracy or whatever, so he's now been stigmatized by it. Look, I don't know. I've seen what the Ricketts was supposed to have said, especially about the Islamic community. But what makes me laugh and the hypocrisy I find in it is that during the period of time, which I believe it was said around that time, when there were things like terrorist attacks and all that going on by a minority group, I have to say, who were misinterpreting the religion. They were not the only people who jumped on that bandwagon to try and stigmatize the entire religion and exercise caution, which was only a fear-triggered response, like all sort of racism usually is. I don't know. Since then, what I've been reading is a lot of retraction, a lot of contrition, show of apology. They've done everything to try and distance themselves from that sort of remark, and are signposting people to the good things they've done for the Islamic community, for the racial relations in the United States, and so on. I don't know. I really don't know. My issue here is, look, if they have put a bid in for Chelsea and they have put down what their plans are for Chelsea, and those plans are plans that include an inclusive nature, such as Roman Abramovich had, women included, black people, disabled, LGBT. I mean, Roman even, was championing that cause. Then I ask myself, what does it matter, really? I don't know. If they are selected, I would like to feel that they are selected by those doing the selection, which are people that we know well, based on their current merits and based on the trust that they will not bring this into the club. However, where I do stand with the criticism against them is that as Chelsea, we've had enough. We're tired. Every little thing that isn't quite right, they use against us. And do we need to go through that again with people with a suspect racial background? Well, quite frankly, no, we don't need it. And I can assure you, if they get through, that will be what your Sky Sports News and all the rest of them will be labeling against Chelsea. So for that reason, I would distance myself from them if it was up to me.
Honestly, Bobby, I don't know how you're able to do it. You're able to find a balance between, looking beyond the past, and also being open-minded, and also saying the truth about what problems how problematic that could be for us if eventually they emerge as the new Chelsea owners. Coming to you, Declan, you take it from there and go if you want to.
Yeah. Well, from what I read with the Ricketts group, looked into. So it was everyone's trying to say that it was the father's statement, and back in 2012, maybe still the height of the Islamophobia, where wars were going on still. And the children of that group have trying to make amends and build bridges and whatnot ever since. But for me, when I looked, a lot of people responded, and even till now, they will double down. He doubled down on that statement, and he felt that he explained why. So he never apologized for him. He never took it down. He never took it back. Right? He doubled down, and he said he explained well his reasons why, and always stuck by that. Right? Now, people are trying to separate it from, that was his father. Okay, but none of the kids went and made their own fortune. Even the clubs they own in America are owned by the family trust, which is led by their father. So as much as they think they can get away with by saying, it was my, by family ties, the money still ties them together. So it's still connected to the statement. The statement was never taken down or never taken back, never apologized from the actual from who it came from, only other family members. And the lead of that family trust is still in power of that whole family group. The kids didn't go make their own fortune. Now come back to Chelsea, and Chelsea has a history of racism that they've been fighting ever since. Chelsea has been known to be the racist club, and every little thing that comes out, any little song or any little incident in the train, is amplified. Now, if we're criticizing those statements, what are our rivals going to bring, and the media going to bring that up all the time? Any little chant, any little incident that looks racially motivated, right? They're going to bring up that, and then they're going to bring up the owner's history as well of the Ricketts, and it's going to be a constant. It's going to be a constant media go-to when it comes down to it. That the fans are the racist, and so is the owner, and it's going to be a constant theme that doesn't sit well. And I've even heard some fans don't feel comfortable with it too, to the point that they don't want to support the club. People take going to extremes when it comes to it.
Yeah, declare they're not fans, so don't take any notice of them. They're not Chelsea fans, all right?
No, Nick, you have to understand that for some people that have gone through racism, take this way more seriously than what you're taking it as.
Nick, I'll come to you, Nick. Go ahead, Declan.
Yeah, Nick, you have to understand that, some people that have experienced racism, this is really serious to them, right? I've experienced racism too. Not to the point, not to that degree. There's some people that have.
I've experienced racist things, going to Chelsea.
You have
in the past. Every game I went to, there was always.
Yeah, but I'm saying on a personal level,
against our own players. I know what's.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll come to you, Nick. I'll come to you, Nick.
Yeah,
Nick, you got to understand that some people that are Chelsea fans have experienced extreme racism in their communities and themselves personally, and so on, right? And something. Even small racism links to an owner is enough for them to say, maybe I'm willing to sit this one out because it means so much to them. Even though, sometimes one racist thing is more powerful than like the war or something like that to certain people. I think it shouldn't be. I know it shouldn't be bigger than Chelsea, but what I'm saying is that this headway is now in its smaller state and just being risen. I'm saying if Ricketts get to become owners, that will be amplified, and that will be gaslight all the time, and the light will be shown on it, and it will always link to the Ricketts statement. Doesn't matter when it was and what it was; it will just be always used. And I just hate that. And more seriously, that's just on a media level. I mean, what happens if this guy and the family do actually feel like that subconsciously? And bring that culture to the club. I mean, that's even 10 times worse than what I'm saying.
I don't think they're going to be our owners.
You never know.
I'll come to you. Here's the thing, Declan. I think you make a very good point, and Bobby, I'm still amazed at how Bobby was able to find a balance between the fact that it's a problem and the fact that we have to also look beyond the past and be open-minded. What I want to add to this, do you want to say something more, Declan?
No, that's really it, man. I think the Ricketts I feel similar to Todd as well. Don't know much. Saying similarly same things as Todd Boehly.
I think we'll talk about their profile. We'll talk about their profile. I think tomorrow or next. It depends who we choose to talk about tomorrow. If you don't mind, so we don't give it away.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, thank you very much for that great input again, and you make great point. If eventually they emerge as the new owners of the club, we will face a barrage of attack from rival fans, from the media, and we'll have issues also between our own camp, as it's been rumored. I'm not there. Again, it is all rumors that the Muslim contingents in our camp will have issues with them becoming a new owner, and I don't blame them if that's the truth, but we're not there. Again, we had Pierre come on here talk about how they've been connecting to the Muslim community in their own community and then doing more to fix the situation. But this is something serious. Here's what I want to add to it. I've been part of a process of hiring people, and the truth that something that staff have alluded to here on this channel is that it's against the law to reject somebody because of their past record. You're not going to say, I don't want you because of this. If they apply, you take them in, interview everybody. You when time comes to select the candidate for the job, you reject them, but you're not going to say this is why. And that's why I'm still thinking, no matter how much they put in, I don't think it will be very difficult for them to come through, because the fact is, it wasn't them, it was their father. They've apologized. I haven't seen the apologies myself, and the father also, I heard, have apologized. But this is not something that can be easily swept under the rug. It's not something that can be easily forgotten. It's something that's already on the internet, and the internet doesn't forget or forgive. People always bring it up one way or the other. And Chelsea, like Bobby talked about, being a club that is still paying paying people off, or some, I don't know how best to phrase it, for racist issues that has taken place at the club before. I think it will be a dent in everything that defines Roman's reign as Chelsea owner. His campaign against all sorts of discrimination, most pronounced of which is a campaign against racism, campaign against anti-Semitism. He's employed women and black people, like Bobby have all said. So I think doing that, the Ricketts taking over Chelsea will most definitely put a huge dent on that. So that's why I don't see them coming through as the new owners. I don't think it's going to happen. And that's why I said the other day, we probably, if I was Ken Griffin, I would probably could have gone out and then arranged my own consortium and come for it. He should have known that that will always be an issue. But that's by the way. I'll come to Stav as the last on this topic here. But before that, I wanted to read this comment here from Fashi Kenny that says, when Chelsea owner will be announced, people will be shocked that the new owner's name has not been in the news. The real bidders are quiet and working behind the scenes to get the deal done. And I think that is true. Because people that are really serious about buying Chelsea Football Club might not be making too much noise. Also, Nick Blue, coming to you, what do you think about racist, because I have to call it accusations still, I'm not there, I didn't see it, racist accusations against the Ricketts?
Yeah, I see what Declares is saying. You know, he's quite right with some of his comments. But about the Chelsea fans, you know, that's different. I don't agree. You know, the ones who don't accept any owner and then they want to leave, they're going to become different fans of different teams. You can't call them fans. That's 100%. You know, like I said, for me, whoever comes in, we have to give him a chance, see if he does what he promised, and then we go from there. And yeah, what you said about the comment, I didn't see the question.
The question here, it's about the question just simply says, how are the Ricketts still in the race?
Yeah, because they're allowed to be, you know, but it doesn't mean they're going to be the last 3 or 4 or 2. But you know, we were hoping to know. We're still hoping to find out today, late today maybe, who, you know, they're going to announce the last bidders. Then at least we're going to know who's got a chance. At the moment, we don't know. We can just speculate. So we don't know. You know, me, myself, I'm hoping the Saudis be there. I still have hope for them because they can make a deal, you know, if they really want to, if the government wants to. And you know, the government can take care of the Premier League if they want to. So, you know, everything's open right now. You know, we just have to be patient. I know we're not, especially me. I'm the least patient out of everyone. I hardly sleep I sleep 10, 20 minutes every day. You know, I don't sleep much because of all this, what's happened to Roman. Because he hurts me very much, like Bobby hurts everyone. But it gets to me too much because he hasn't done nothing wrong, like we keep saying. If they can prove what he's done, then prove it. But why don't you prove it? You know, because they can't. And that's destroying, you know, they destroyed our club. Well, they can't destroy our club, and they destroyed Roman. His love for Chelsea is unbelievable. You know, he has the same love as we have. And, you know, I'm putting all my hope on Roman. I know Roman will come out with the best solution for the club in the end.
Yeah. Before I come to you, Stab, I want to read this comment on the screen. The Saudis are always in the race, and from my thinking, they are second highest bidder. But the Sky Sports News want to mention their names, but the name of the lowest bidder that they are carrying. Stab, over to you on that comment regarding the racist accusations against the Ricketts.
Yeah, first of all, they're supposed to be flying into the UK to meet Chelsea supporters groups to present their case direct. I don't know which supporters groups they're meeting, right? So, but that's the latest update on the Ricketts, and also that they are one of the favourites. With regards to the racist thing, doesn't matter what we do, we're always going to be called the racist club, because dating back to the 70s and 80s, Nick alluded to it yesterday, right? Support the National Front, which was the racist group at that time, used to canvass at Stamford Bridge, and they got a lot of people on their side, so we're stuck with that. Then you had the incident in the Paris metro with the black guy getting abused by a load of drunken idiots. Doesn't matter that they were drunk, they were just racist, right? They were drunk, basically. They didn't care, and he was the easy target. So we're going to be stuck with that stigma anyway, despite whatever Romans tried. We're still called the racist club, right? Tottenham, they have a song. It starts with the Y word. They sing it, it's okay. We sing it, we're being racist. And that's what happens. You sing the song, or you use the name that the opposition use, right? But when it comes to us, it's turned into a racist thing, when it's not. We're just calling them what they call themselves. And if you're anybody who noticed, Tottenham have asked them to stop singing that now, but they still carry on singing it. So it's okay for them, but not for us. And that makes us racist. As far as I'm concerned, after the Paris thing, Chelsea supporters got together, right, and they started a campaign, and the campaign went along the lines of not black, we're not white, we're not yellow, we're all blue, right? So we're going to be stuck with that, whoever the owners are, right? The other thing we're going to get stuck with is we're going to be bought by billionaires or consortiums with lots of money, and the jealousy is going to kick in anyway. So we're still going to get the same stick, right? They just can't
the hatred will always be there.
Yeah, and it just changes from you only win things because you got rich this or rich that, right? The Russian blood money will stop being used, right? The original one was Russian mafia money. Okay, so we're just stuck with it. Whether we like it or not, we're stuck with it, right? If we get the Saudis, we're going to get abused because of Saudi Arabia's record. Even though these people, right, are not like the government and are not involved in any of that, we'll still get the abuse. Wherever they come from, they'll find a way of abusing us. Now, I'll get back to the bid thing, right? I do have an issue and I have a concern. I may be wrong, okay? And it depends how the process has gone from the bids going in to Marina and Eugene Tenenbaum and Bruce Buck getting involved.
Yeah,
right?
Steph, can you just give me 1 second? I want to welcome some people to the channel. This is the first time I'm seeing the JCP world, and this is the first time I'm also seeing Nadav, Drew. Please, whoever you are, I welcome you to the channel. This is that is a channel for the fans, Chelsea fans all over the world. And if you haven't, please like the video so that the Google algorithm can push it to more people. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. That will go a long way for us. And Bobby, I want to show you this comment from Bobby Fairview. He says, excellent points by Bobby. He just did a great job canceling cancel culture. That is the perfect way to put it. Because that's why I said I'm surprised how he was able to strike a balance between the situation and people looking beyond the past and also being open-minded. Go ahead, Stab.
All right, my issue is with the whole process, right? When the shortlist is finally decided, that shortlist is coming from the Rain Group, okay? So it doesn't necessarily mean that Eugene Tenenbaum, Marina, Bruce Buck are going to see the best and most logical bidders. Okay, it means that they're going to see the shortlist. I would have preferred it, right? That if once the bids were in, they had a meeting, those three people with the Rain Group, the Rain Group presented everybody who was putting a bid in, and all their backup information, right? And then they had an input into the shortlist as well. But I'm not sure that they've had an input into the shortlist. I realised there was a checklist, right? What everybody had to do and this kind of stuff, and you got to prove the funding and things like that. But it's not just the funding. I want to know if the person who's putting the bid in is genuine, okay? And now, because Rain Group are American, I'm concerned that the Americans are going to be the ones that get shortlisted. So that's my concern regarding the whole thing.
I think your concern brings me back to that comment from I think whose comment was that read something like we'll be surprised. I think something about we'll be surprised of when Chelsea, he says, when Chelsea new owners will be announced, people will be shocked that the owner name has not been in the news. The real bidders are quiet and working behind the scenes to get the deal done. And again, the whole thing that's been going on in terms of today, we hear the Saudis didn't put in a bid. Tomorrow we hear that they put in a bid, but it was late before the deadline. Today we hear the Saudis aren't going to make it to that is shortly will not make it to the final phase. Again, we'll hear they're going to make it to the final phase. So that's another reason why we should be careful how we're taking whatever we read on Twitter, on Facebook, or whatever social media platform that's our preference. So let's go through the comment again. There was a question I wanted us to talk about these. Bobby, I know you haven't talked about this before, so please go ahead with it. It says Abramovich does not want to sell to anyone in the UK. What do you have to say about that comment, Bobby?
By the way, thanks, Bobby Fairview, for the comment about cancelling cancel culture. I'm never one for cancel culture. I don't like dictatorships and shackles on people. Though I do believe in fairness.
I don't know if I've said thank you for taking the time to explain everything quite well, so that it's understandable, and also expressing his concerns about the people in the bidding. Go ahead, Stav. Go ahead, Bobby.
Sure. I mean, Abramovich does not want to sell to anyone in the US or UK. I think that's just people putting in their own opinions. The truth of the matter is nobody knows who Abramovich actually wants to sell to. And quite honestly, I don't think he will take that approach. Roman Abramovich is a very, very intelligent man. He's not in a position of revenge. Neither is he in a position of malice. I think he will always engage his head before his heart. And I don't think he will have that sort of heart. If you put yourself in his position, having gotten rid of what he loves tremendously, what he'll be focused on now would be to making sure it goes to an owner who can carry on his legacy. The last time I was on your platform, I shared the story of how I sold my first car.
That was hilarious. I remember the story. Yeah,
and I made sure it went to, as much as I could, to somebody that I knew would treat it well. And indeed, a few weeks later, when I saw him driving past in the car, it was in better shape than when I sold it to him. So, Roman would love to see that. I personally believe at this point in time, he's hurting. He's hurting badly. I think probably what's happening to Chelsea may well be hurting him more than all the other sanctions he's facing. I know that's presumptuous. Maybe that's my Chelsea heart talking, but I know he's going to feel this. And after he has sold the club, this man will just walk away. I'm not looking at him as somebody to say, look, I'm not going to sell it to an American. I'm not going to sell it to a British person. He's a businessman. He knows that these people he's selling it to are not directly responsible for his current plight. They're doing business and they're taking advantage of it, just like he would. So I don't buy that line at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. And here's one thing that really highlights how nonsensical that the comment is. the group that is facilitating the sale is an American company, isn't it?
Exactly.
And surely they will make a profit from the sale. So if his intention was to never to profit Americans in any way, he would then use the American company to sell it. So I think, thank you very much for that input right there. Stab, up to you. What do you think about that comment? Yeah.
Please, can I just add one thing to that, which is something that has which always always nags in my mind. You see,
Go ahead.
This is the sort of thing that starts racist and discriminatory behavior. Racism and discrimination is learnt. In the issue of racism against black people, this was something that was learned over centuries in order to oppress them, enslave them, rape them, steal from them, and all that. So it always comes from a bitter place. Now, this sort of narrative gives me concern, because this is suggesting that everybody is involved with this. It hurts me when I see people write things attacking Russian people, or writing things making them look like, the devil's spawn now. This is wrong. The people have nothing, and I really believe this, nothing to do with the war they have been forced to go and fight.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I've been following the story too, and even though this is, we try the best we can to not, level people because of what's going on, or, just call all of them bad people because of the war, like you've mentioned, they've been forced into. The fact remains, every German is not a Nazi.
Exactly.
Every Muslim is not a racist. Every Christian is not a crusader. Every black man is not a thug. Every white man is not racist. I think that's the simplest way for me to put it, for people to understand. We shouldn't judge Russians. There's one example yesterday, a Russian teenager reading an article from their constitution that gives people the right to protest. She got arrested. She's a brave woman did at just at the age of 16 or 17. So that's a perfect example that people in Russia don't really want the war. They have relatives in Ukraine also. There are people in Ukraine who have relatives in Russia. And by the way, that gives us an opportunity that also make it clear that our thoughts with the Russian people and also the Ukrainian people who found themselves in the center of this uncalled for crisis that people are dying from every day. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It is such a tragic and awful situation all round. I feel for the common man, woman, and child on the street that often suffer for these people that are making decisions. And having said that, bringing it back to this statement, I know that wasn't the intention of the statement, but the thought process is what concerns me. And I do not believe for 1 second that a man of the intelligence of Roman Abramovich will take up that thought process. I mean, the evidence is clear that he's not from the people he's handed over the dealings to, and he's not going to personalize individuals for something they're not involved with. If so, it will make his position or his response to his position hypocritical. He needs to ride this out and let history vindicate him by doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. So start quickly on that comment, then you can from that comment move on to this one. I'll start with Nick Blue on this one, Declan on this one, then I'll go to Nick Blue. So quickly, Stab, what do you think about that comment that Bobby talked about right now regarding Roman not wanting to sell to Americans and British people? Go ahead.
Well, I found myself repeating myself again. I said it right from the very beginning. It's come from one newspaper, right? They want to build an element of that detracts from Roman Abramovich, right? They want to make a story. So they come out with a comment, right? And then they build it into a story. All the other idiots in the media can't afford to be left behind. So they pick it up and they start running with it, right? And then people get angry about it. Does anybody seriously think that Roman Abramovich told the Daily Mail, and that's the paper, right, that he wouldn't sell to Americans or Russian, British, UK. Right? It's just them making things up as they go along, creating stories. Right? It's the same. It's similar to transfer window, right? Where somebody's going to sign so and so, and they're not even interested, right? It's the same thing. It's creating a story, and one that they can run with, one they can use for 3 or 4 occasions, and then the other idiots do it, so they have to keep running with it. It's just just ignore it. It's not worth even thinking about or listening to. Right?
Thank you.
With regard to that, right?
Yeah, thank you very much.
With regards to the comment on the screen, imagine what is it, Rudy?
Imagine what. Let me just put it this way: imagine what the Muslim contingents,
the Muslim
at Chelsea, how would they feel? If the Ricketts emerged as the new owners.
Well, I don't have to imagine. I can't imagine. It's up to them, isn't it? Right? They may not even know about it. Right? If they were that bothered,
I don't think so. I think they know. I think they will know. There's no way if any player. Let me come in first. If there's no way any player at the club, even the non-Muslims, there's no way they will not be hearing whatever that's going on, especially about the Ricketts, especially how it's been pushed in the media. Let's say specifically Twitter and Facebook, especially how it's been pushed. There's no way they haven't heard about it. There's no way. Let me just stop at that. There's no way they haven't heard about it. I would not agree. If any of them haven't heard about it, then that person, to some measure, is, ignorant. If I'm allowed to phrase it that way. But go ahead, Stav.
Right. Well, so we'll just assume that it bothers them.
So now let me bring it to you.
They might not care when they're earning 150,000.
There's a possibility that they might not care. There's a possibility that they might not care. That's the truth. Coming to you, Declan, what do you think about this comment on the screen? Then I will go to Nick Blue and then Bobby. I want Bobby to round off this one for us. What do you think about this comment on the screen? Imagine what Rudiger, Kante, Ziyech, and also Edouard Mendy, also, if you've forgotten, would think if Ricketts family emerged as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club.
Like I was saying, if it gets highlighted a lot, these players might take a stand or might make a statement if the media blows them and they want them to talk about it and whatnot. But
which they're doing right now.
Yeah, well, what if these players got together and said we don't like it here, we don't like the owner, what he said, and like it almost sounds unbelievable. But what if they did? What if they collectively got together and said we don't want to play for this type of owner?
The truth is, they might have done so without us knowing. If they do that, we're not going to even know. They might have, but go ahead.
Because the media will put pressure, and the more they highlight it, the more you never know. It sounds very unlikely, but what if they do? If they make it a big thing, so
I still don't believe it will happen.
Look, the reality, it won't happen. But the reality is going to be is that if they come in, they will always be on the back foot. They will always have to do way more for racism just to be normal, if that makes sense.
To make up.
They'll have to be constantly proving themselves. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just hang it over here. It's just weird. And then and what if the media starts asking them, well, how do you feel about your owner's statements and whatnot? It's just a constant. It's just as ridiculous as how Tuchel.
Rest assured they would do.
Yeah. It's just like how Tuchel had to answer a whole bunch of questions on Ukraine all the time. It's as ridiculous as that. And the owner, he would just be coming in. He just steps foot in the door, and then you have this over your head. I mean, it is kind of ridiculous.
That makes. I think you make a good argument. And with that, before I go to Bobby, let me say I promised Bobby was going to round off this particular comment on the screen for us. I'll go to Nick Blue, but before that, I want to ask everybody in the chat, whoever that's watching, please, even if you're watching on Facebook, you can join us on YouTube and smash that like button, and more important, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, click on the bell notification button so that you will be notified before we go live every day. And you liking the video and also subscribing to the channel helps us grow. So I'd appreciate it if you can take a second to do that. It is free. It won't cost you anything. So again, great input right there from you, Declan. Coming to you, Nick Blue, the comment on the screen. I think not this. Okay, let's just go. What's that comment there? I think it's a comment about I've been following. Okay, but stopped looking at that image is so disturbing. Yeah, I think it's a comment about how the Muslim players at Chelsea will feel if the Ricketts take over Chelsea Football Club. Over to you, Nick Blue. What do you think?
Yes. It's going to be very hard for them. I know that. But, I'm sure they're going to give him a chance to prove he's not racist anymore, or the family is not racist, and that was in the past. And if he has to. He has no choice. He has to prove himself. Yeah, as long as he proves himself, the players, they'll be happy to stay because they don't forget they love Chelsea. They love playing for this club. And I'm sure Tuchel will have a word with them and tell them what it's about and everything. He's got brains, Tuchel. He knows what he's talking about. I'm sure he will get the players on side like he's done ever since he's come to Chelsea. And, it's up to the owners, like I said, to prove themselves. Put their money where their mouth is, like I said before. Rebuild the stadium, do everything what we're doing right now, go in the same direction, don't change anything drastically, and everyone be happy. Even Roman will be happy if he sees, they've changed and they're good for the club. So, that's what we're hoping for. And, I want to say to Declare, don't let the media get to you too much, because that's a lot of shit. Or the journalists, because
language.
Yeah, all right. Bad language, sorry. Because they always had an agenda with Chelsea since I've been going there. We always been a hated club, and we, always will, I'm afraid. But, it doesn't get to me because I know they're all idiots, all of them. Matt Law and the rest, all of them. So I don't trust them. I listen what they say, and I just reply to them when I have to go and, I don't want to say it because I'm not supposed to swear, but you know what I mean, don't you? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so thank you for that great input right there. I think I always like to hear you talk because of your experience and how well you know the club. Coming to you, Bobby, you know the comment was still on how I don't know if this if I'm correct if I phrase it this way, but before I say that, I want to say to Jerry Bill Cobb, directed here from GFC. Oh, thank you very much. Nice to see. Tyler Oggs, I say thank you. And more importantly, Jerry, you're welcome to Chelsea Perspective. Please feel at home. It's a channel for the fans. That's why this is an interactive show, and it's a daily show. And we try to address as much as we can all the inputs in the chat that are aligned with the current topic. But usually, because it's an interactive show, we can deviate from the normal topic and talk about what the fans, people in the chat want us to talk about. So now, okay, I said Bobby was going to round up this one. So now I have to go to Staff. Staff, what do you think? And the concerns, I said in the media, even if not talking about the concerns of what's in the media, how do you think it will affect?
Can I just say one thing, one second to
go ahead.
Just Viola, what a great comment she's made. That's what I mean exactly. Great comment. Yeah, I had to say that.
Okay, thank you. So I want to say, okay, now coming back to the situation, Staff, you've seen what's in the media about how that is what they're saying about the Muslim contingents at Chelsea. But naturally, and technically, how bad it will be if Chelsea, if the Ricketts emerge as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club. How do you think that will affect Muslim players at the club, Staff?
Like I keep saying, I can't assume for them, right? I can't imagine for them, right? I can't take into account how devout they are, right? Everybody, like, listen, right? Let me put it this way: I'm Greek Cypriot, okay, right? I was born in London but moved to Middlesbrough when I was 5, and I was getting racially abused at the age of 5, right? In the smaller school, the infant school as they call it, by junior school kids because of my name. I was getting called everything, right? The N word, right? Everything, right? And I'm not even black, right? So there's prejudices everywhere, and I didn't care about that. I couldn't care less about that. What I did care about was getting smacked around by 3 or 4 people at the same time, right? Because they couldn't control themselves, right? But regardless the swear, the actual racist abuse, right? It didn't bother me because I knew I was different from them, and I knew I was superior to them, right? I was superior to them because I didn't have that kind of thought. And then as I got older and older, I got bigger and bigger, right? And I didn't like bullying. So bullying of other people bothered me more than somebody trying to bully me or being racist towards me, right? And my religion is Orthodox Christian, right? But I don't really practice it, okay? Right?
So Stav, let me ask you this specifically.
It depends on their level of beliefs and how important it is to them, their religion, right? Not everybody takes their religion to the full level, right? Or has it seriously, right? I could, like, I'm Greek Orthodox, but I could have atheist beliefs where I don't believe. That's not the case. I do believe, right, in Christ and God and all that, right? But I could be atheist just because I've been baptized or because I've been this or been that. Doesn't mean that my beliefs go that deep or that it bothers me that much. So I can't just suddenly assume that all of those Muslim players, right, are going to have a big issue out of it, right? It's up to them. I can't imagine for them, and I can't make their decisions, and I can't just turn around and say, "Oh, they won't like it. They won't like it. They'll refuse to play." I can't make that decision for them, and because I don't know what their level of belief is.
Yeah, I agree with you. But let me ask you this question: can you tell me yes or no? Do you think that's a possibility that will be an issue?
Yeah, there's a possibility. Right?
That's it. That's all. That's all. I wanted to hear that from you because it's important we recognize that. But then again, I have to say this: there's a chance that will not happen. Okay, Declan, before you leave, I think you've talked about this particular comment. But if anytime you want to go, bro, you can. No problem. I understand. We all have to work after all. Bills don't pay themselves, and I appreciate you finding time to join. It's a daily show, and I'm never going to thank you enough for all the time you've been part of the show. And whenever you get a chance, I know you always like to jump on to help your brother. But one thing I'm not going to be able to do as soon as possible is to, pay you the beer, the bottle of, beers that I promise you that I owe you. So Declan, any final thoughts before you leave so that I can go to Bobby?
Final thoughts. Well, I'm hoping that shortlist is meant to come out soon. So, I mean, we just hang tight. Nothing really changes. I think the more we talk about it, I think the more I start to hate it, to be honest. So, I'm hoping there are secret bidders because I don't like most of them at the moment. So, I guess we just wait. That's really it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Declan. I appreciate you finding time to join. Great input and unbiased opinion. So I appreciate that. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next Blue Money show. And like I said before, the Blue Money show will remain a marathon show until this whole saga about the transfer, about the new ownership, the sale of the club ends. Then we can shorten it to 1 hour. So thank you very much, Declan. I appreciate you. Bobby, coming to you. Thanks, I know you still remember the title, what we're talking about, how the Muslim contingents at Chelsea will feel should the Ricketts family and then their owner group emerge as the new owners of the club. But before you say that, I want to read this on the screen. Abramovich will mostly want to sell to the Saudi, the most due to not wanting to sell the club to US or UK owner. The truth is, you cannot verify that that's true. And I think we've established that that's actually not the truth because, like Bobby said, he's a very intelligent man. And like Stav did allude to that also. And the fact remains, it doesn't make sense. The fact that those facilitating the sale, the company facilitating the sale is an American company, makes that statement or that a rumor nonsense. So this, I don't think it's true. I think probably the British or Americans will emerge the new owners. You never know. We don't know, or maybe somebody that we didn't even know about. So Bobby, coming to you. Yeah, you were saying something.
Well, is that me?
Bobby, coming to you.
Yeah,
Bobby.
Bobby.
Yeah, I'm coming. Yeah, I'm coming to Bobby now. Bobby, what do you think about the concerns of the fan base or the made-up story? But the fact is even if the story is even if it's a construct to try to sow, just to make the fans not like the Ricketts family, not like the Ricketts family, even if it was designed to do so, even if it's nonsense. The truth remains is we have Muslim contingents at the club, and the truth remains that they are well aware of what's going on, and the truth remains they must have heard of what that is the accusations against the Ricketts family. So what do you think? Even if you talk about, oh, that's nonsense, but technically, how do you think, what issues do you think that the Muslim contingents at the club will have with that accusation? They are racist accusations against the Ricketts family. Or let me say Islamophobic accusations, because that's what it was really. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I would want to say that I really have my doubts that they will even be a preferred bidder in the first place. And I tend to go along with the fact that the preferred bidder will be somebody that hasn't been out in public, because if you've got the capacity to take on this club and you're really, worth your salt, there's no need for a public campaign because the public aren't part of the bidding process. Having said that, to answer this question, look, the Islamophobic statement is just one of, I've come to be told, many statements made by the Ricketts family, both racial and religious. Now, if you are a people that is subject to discrimination, you tend to view it less seriously, if that can possibly be, than those that are not and are concerned about it, simply because you're used to it. You go from one discriminatory dealing to another. This, if they are indeed selected in the last three or any final next stage process, will be where their PR campaign has to kick in. They will have to demonstrate how far removed from that statement they are and what their commitments are to things that matter to, for example, the Islamic religious group. For example, I'm not saying this is exactly what will happen. For example, they will need to do things like, they have Friday prayers. We have a prayer room for you in the training ground, for example, and just show that respect. I don't think it is something that needs to go OTT, although because of the magnification of it, they will have a likelihood to go over the top. Whether it's genuine or whether it's for business reasons, it's irrelevant. An over the top response is as bad as no response. So their PR campaign has to be very on the ball, and they will have to come up and hold their hand up and be truthful. Yes, we made this terrible mistake. We don't want to be associated with this. It is very bad. Don't come up and deny it. And, we need to move forward and show you exactly what we really think. I'm not sure the Chelsea Muslim contingent will have very, very much to think about it, depending on what these people present or how they present themselves. I mean, if they present themselves as still having the hostility towards other religions, well, they won't need to do anything about it. I can assure you the Chelsea fan base will be on it, if not the media. So we'll just be walking from the frying pan to the fire. And I don't think the shortlisters would accept that. The world is full of all sorts, as I keep saying. I've supported Chelsea a very, very, very long time. I've seen a lot of things. You know, I've seen people that were arch racists on the terraces back in the day that were part of some of the most cruel racist groups that you could think of. And you see them today, they are different people. You know, one of them, his daughter is married to a black person. You know, he has mixed race grandchildren. He's not of that ilk at all. If you question him as to why he was ever involved with it in the first place, he will tell you ignorance, maybe a bit of boisterousness, and a desire to belong. That is rarely people's deep-rooted feeling, in my experience. I don't think there are some people who are just pure evil, full stop. But rarely you find that people that practice these things or have been known to show these sentiments, that it's their deep-rooted feeling. It's really born of ignorance or a desire to be accepted by certain other groups based on their own insecurities. So back to the question, how will they react? It's very dependent on how the Ricketts family would handle it if they're in that position. Oh, did you hear me?
Question I want to ask you is this, Bobby. Sorry, I didn't know my mic was on. I was on mute. The question I want to ask you is this, Bobby. So you believe, from what you said, you believe that's a possibility for the Ricketts family to change the narrative should they emerge the new owners of Chelsea Football Club, even to win the players over to their side and also the fans.
The coach, even if they don't take over Chelsea, they're going to have to address this narrative and to distance themselves from it because it's bad for business. That is a given. You know, it's bad for business. If it's coming up with this venture, it will come up with any and every other public venture they go for, if not by the people they're tendering to, but by their competitors. They will leak it. So they have to address it. They have to start that PR campaign, whether they feel, unless if they don't, then there is cause for concern because it shows that they probably truly believe in these things, which I have my doubts. You know, people from my experience come out with reactive statements. You know, all Russians are bad. You know, if you're ever quoted for saying that, 20 years down the line, it could come and bite you. And you're saying it in a situation where there has been a war waged by Russia against Ukraine. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, sure.
I think a lot of what we perceive as racism is born of ignorance. Even when it was legal, it was born of a desire to control. It wasn't really that they really believed in what they were doing. It was born of an ability to exploit. You see a weaker people, a more naive people, a less aggressive people, right, let's go and exploit them. How best to exploit them? By making them feel bad about themselves and turning themselves against themselves. Do you see what I mean? It became more politics than belief. And if you keep spreading that message, some people would then start to believe it until, you know, they suddenly meet people that are different from them, interact with them and realize, hey, you know, what am I thinking here? You know, it works with all discriminations. And I don't think this is any different. They have to do everything they can to retract their position. Whether they go for Chelsea or not, they just have to do it, full stop, because what they're having right now is very bad PR.
Yeah, I think you make a great point right there. And then the most important thing I pick from this your last input is the more you push the narrative, the more people will start to believe it. I think it makes great sense. And I want to say welcome to Job Patrick Okai. Okai, if you haven't, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And don't forget to click on the bell notification button, because we stream daily. It is called the Blue Morning Show, and it's a daily show. But now I know it's noon in the UK. So we should switch, have some background that says blue noon to let know when we switch. But that's, by the way, start coming to you. I think we have some questions that we can round off with in the chat. What do you think? Do you think there's a possibility, like Bobby have talked about, for the Ricketts to change the narrative should they emerge the new owners of Chelsea Football Club? And do you think there's a chance that they can win over the players? And they can also win over the fan, because the number of the fan base that don't want them is overwhelming. And there's even a hashtag that says say no to the Ricketts. You go ahead, Stav.
Well, they're already trying to change the narrative, aren't they? They haven't won the bid, but they're still flying to London to meet fan groups. So that's changing the narrative, isn't it? When they haven't even won the bid. So, well, maybe they haven't, we don't know, but it's up to them, isn't it? It's up to them to prove themselves. But I can't think for other people, right? I can't think for the players that it would involve, right? Obviously, it could be an issue, because if some of those players are not happy, then some of their teammates won't be happy, including white ones, and whether German or whatever, because they're a close-knit group. So obviously they have to do something to change the narrative. So they've started with the fans, but it depends, doesn't it? It depends. Roman might decide he doesn't want them, right? But if he decides he doesn't want them, it won't be because he doesn't want to sell to Americans. It'll be because they're not suitable in his eyes. Right, and I've said from the beginning, I don't really want to expend too much thought process on the whole issue and make myself ill because I'm worried about my club and things like that. I'm like Bobby, I'm like Nick, right, like Pierre and a few others, right. We've been through it all anyway, right. We almost saw a club die until Roman came in twice, not once, twice. Ken Bates came in, saved it once, and then Roman come in, saved it again. And we're at that again, aren't we? We're back at that stage again. So I'm trying not to be too emotional about it or get too upset over things and start making assumptions for other people or trying to make their thought processes, right? But as far as I'm concerned, if they're the ones that Roman picks and they come in, right, I've got to accept that. And although I might not like them, right, I'll still support the club because I've done it for 52 years, right? I'm too old to change now. And either you're a Chelsea fan or you're not. And if it's that easy for you to just drop the club, then it's not big enough a deal for you or in your life. Okay, that's all I'm going to say now is that, yeah, I understand that some people won't like it. Maybe they won't want to support the club. But then the issue is fine, that's their choice. But then obviously Chelsea's not that big a deal in the first place. Like I've had to go to games and put up with racism, right, in the past, right? So that didn't change me. It didn't change. I could have quite easily changed teams, right? When I started supporting Chelsea, I was living in Middlesbrough. I went to a school and it was 50-50 for 1 year. For 1 year, it was 50-50. Then someone else went and won the FA Cup and they started supporting them. And then I became the only person in the school who supported Chelsea, right? And I know a lot of friends up in that area, it was the same for them. So if I can come through all that I'll come through whatever else happens. So it just depends how deeply rooted into your lifestyle, into your thought process, into what your beliefs and everything are, right? And whether it affects your support for the club. But if you don't want to support the club, that's fine. It's up to you. Good luck to you. Go and support someone else if that's what you want to do, or just give up football altogether. But for me, it's too deep rooted into my being, into my life and everything, and I can't just change it because some owner comes in who I don't like. Right? I didn't particularly like Ken Bates. He did some good things, but what the difference between Ken Bates, right, and Roman Abramovich? Ken Bates paid £1 for the club, and he was taking a salary out of the club, right? And he knew it was a long-term investment for him, and he walked away with £18 million in his pocket, whereas Roman's going to walk away with nothing, right? So I've just got to accept that we move on again. I'd rather Roman stayed, but
so most importantly, you're saying the clubs should be our priority and not who the new owners is, because we can no matter what we do, we cannot influence who becomes the new owner. It doesn't matter. Yeah. We should always support our club no matter who emerges as the new owner.
If the club's that deep rooted into your lifestyle,
yes,
if it's that important,
yes, I think that's a very, very delicious comment. I know you don't like me to use delicious to define how I like things. I think it makes sense, that part. Most importantly, that says if the club is that deep into you, then whoever becomes the owner doesn't matter. And especially in the street, since they're making an effort to to change the narrative, and it's if it's an honest effort, yeah, let's accommodate them. But the fact is, I'm still saying it. I don't see them coming through. But that's, by the way, Bobby. If you still have time, the comment on the screen, can you address that to help educate Jacob Patrick Okai, who said, "I don't want an American owner. It will all be about making profit and then winning trophies. Arsenal and Manchester United can relate." The fact is, before I let Bobby go on with this, the fact is, if you check Manchester United, they've spent quite a lot of money, so you can't really blame the owners, the American owners, for the issues they're having. Probably they spent recklessly and never spent to solve the issues they have at the club. And also, if you look at Arsenal, they've spent quite a lot. Also, maybe they haven't spent strategically. Maybe that was the issue. But Bobby, I will let you address the comment.
Yeah, this is yet another one of these sort of bandwagon statements. One, no two club models will be the same. Two, the appointments or those that are the favored parties by Roman, Bruce Buck, Marina, and the other guy, they will know, look, Americans coming in, anybody coming in will invest. The issue will have to be high-level investment, but they will be looking to see if they are clever enough in the process of the high-level investment to be able to gain profits. Now, Roman himself, as charitable and as loving as he was to Chelsea, he bought the club for 140 million and he's able to sell the club, albeit that he's not getting a penny, for 3 billion. That is a huge profit. So profit is part of business. The issue here is, in the process of profiteering, will they rape the club? I very much doubt it. The fans will kick off, and their tender is the fans. Roman and the rest of the Chelsea board involved with this will have a decent measure of due diligence to select the right owner. So I think we need to be patient. We need to just wait and see. Whether they're Americans, whether they're Arabs, whether they are British, whether they're from South Korea or wherever else there has been bids from. Nationality should not supersede the project.
Yeah. So are you still there, Bobby, or you done?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm concluded.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that great input. So it makes perfect sense. And this comment here, it says, if we go into administration, the club has a lot to lose because there are serious punishments attached to going into administration. We should not dream of administration for the club, please. No, we're not dreaming about that. But you make a great comment, but I don't see that happening. I don't think Chelsea will go into administration. But to learn something, Stav, what punishment comes with the club going into administration?
Points deductions, which would mean starting next season off with, it won't be applied to this season, it'll be added on to the start of next season, which then means you have to work harder to get into the top four. I would imagine somebody would be taking control of your spending and things like that. That's what would happen. It's not going to. That's not going to happen. This is the whole point of having this whole process that we're going through now. Okay, so that's not going to happen anyway. Could I just add something? Right.
Yeah, go ahead, so we can round off quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Right. The Glazers have made money. Right. They've invested in players. And they've serviced the debt to the American banks that they used to buy the club. So they're managing to do all three. Okay. The problem with Man United was the idiot who was running it upstairs. I forget his name again. Yeah,
Ed Woodward.
He was the problem, as was the reliance. Pardon me. As was the reliance on a makeshift manager on the basis of him being an ex-player, right? Now, that's what their problem was, okay? They had Jose, who was on a not as strong as he was when he first started, but they didn't back him for the players he wanted. They went and bought players he wanted after they fired him, right? So it's how the club is run as well, right? It's not just like who you put in charge. And if Marina's staying and Petr staying, we'll be all right, right? And Bruce, but even Bruce Buck, right, who's learned lessons, right? Hopefully. And finally, before I finish, with regards to my main worry with Americans is the Super League. Right, they can say they're not interested, but doesn't mean they're not. Right, and us and Man City, were the last two to enter the Super League. We were left till last, and they applied the pressure by telling us both, us and Man City, right, that we would be left behind and we wouldn't be relevant anymore. So we joined it, right, and it's also why we were the first two out. Okay. Right, Roman was the first one to say get us out of it, right, and then Man City were the second. Man City did it first because Man City just did it anyway. But we announced we weren't going to go into it, right? But we were the first club to announce that we weren't going to go carry on with it, and we were basically conned into going in. Why? Because they wanted our input and our money. So as long as you've got the right people running the club, we'll be all right. Like if Boehly comes in or Ricketts comes in and they stick some American in to run the club, then I'd be more concerned about that rather than the owners. And because their American sport, like Declared said, is totally different to the European model of sport. Not just English, European. Right? They have drafts, they don't buy people.
Okay, so just before I go to Bobby, so that Bobby can round off the show for us today, I want to ask you, Stav, overall, what do you think of the chances of Todd Boehly and his group, and the chances of them becoming emerging as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club? And if you have any concerns about them, let us know. Well,
I think they've both got a decent chance because they've had previous dealings. They've both tried to buy the club before. They both have experience in sports, which has been one of the conditions, right? In other words, they don't want somebody to come in who's got no experience of sport, right? Running a sports club, which is the problem with Nick Candy, which is the problem with the other two British ones, right? Only Matt Broughton is the only one who's ran a sports club when he was chairman of Liverpool. So that would be a possible against the UK ones, and a positive for the two American ones. But my issue is, like I just said, they can run a sports club, but if it's run differently, right, to what the European model is, right, it's not going to work. That's my concern. There's no draft.
Yeah.
There's no draft in Europe. You have to pay. Anyway, that's me done for today.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Stav. Bobby, your final thoughts. What do you think about the chances of Todd Boehly and his group emerging as the new owners of the club? And do you have any concerns?
Todd Boehly is definitely a strong contender. I have reservations about the declaration of support for Spurs by one of his consortium. People tend to think it's trivial and it's got nothing to do with business. I tend to think it's got everything to do with business. We all have subconscious bias. And though, he may give it his best shot, I would rather he's not really involved with any of the decision-making processes, which he may well be. I don't know. Todd Boehly has been interested in Chelsea for a very, very long time. Quite why? Well, it's left to be seen. He seems to be keen on the project. He clearly sees that he can make money with it, and he clearly sees that he can improve upon the legacy. I would rather it was somebody else, if I'm very honest. But if we're down to it and it comes down to him, I would like to trust that Roman and the rest of his board members have been satisfied by the cases put forward to take Chelsea forward.
So that's it for you, and thank you very much for that great input right there. Our hope is that he builds on what Roman has achieved and not make a wholesome change, if I am allowed to phrase it that way. I think I'm concerned too about his lack of experience in running a football club. And with that, I say very, very thank you to Bobby and staff for remaining on the panel so that we until we got to 2 hours and 53 minutes streaming. That means a lot to me. And thank you again to the queen of the house, Just Viola, and Sasuke Uchiha, who started with very good update on what's going on. Thank you to the JSCP world. Thank you to everyone else, Shiloh and Jacob Patrick, for subscribing to the channel, and everyone else that's contributed one way or the other. You all provide a great value, so I appreciate you all. So with that, I say God bless us all, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow for another episode of the Blue Money Show. Take care and bye.